And the Prize Hardware has made it to Fairfield, Alabama. Just on the outside, looking in from Birmingham, it's the home of the Miles College Golden Bears. A story of comebacks today. After an 0-2 start to the season, Miles College looking for a program record 9th straight win against a resurgent Clark Atlanta team just 1 year removed from a winless campaign. And a pleasant good afternoon. Sean Kinney alongside Florida State national champion Forrest Conley. Great to have you with us. Forrest, what a great story today with these two programs. A lot of people thought Miles College would be here, but boy, did they just dominate this conference. And then the story of Clark Atlanta, one win away from capping off what might be the best turnaround story in college football.
Well, Miles College, they come into this football game on an 8-win game streak. When you look at what they've been able to do this season, like you said, they expected to be here, but the 8 straight wins, that is huge for this team. And Clark Atlanta, come on, man, 0-10 last year. Now they're competing for a conference championship. This is a dynamic football game that we're going to have this afternoon.
So the question is, how did Clark Atlanta turn this thing around so quickly? It's first-year head coach Teddy Keaton and who he brought from Allen University, maybe the most dynamic offensive playmakers in Division II with the trio.
Well, you look at David Wright, the quarterback that he brought with him from Allen. This is a guy that won the Conference Player of the Year last year, and then he comes over to Clark Atlanta University and wins it again. And he brings his 2 favorite receivers to help him out, Harris and Jones. Now, I will say this, Jones got left off of the conference, all-conference team, and I think that's going to fire him up a little bit because this guy is a dynamic playmaker on the outside like Harris when he gets the ball in space.
On the other sideline, Miles College has been so good all year, but the most consistent part of this team has been the defense, especially the secondary.
17 interceptions, and I think it all starts with the defensive line. You've got 27 tackles for loss from the 2 starting defensive ends. That immediate pressure on opposing quarterbacks creates the opportunities for this opportunistic defense on the back end. They're able to take chances because the quarterback has to get rid of the ball prematurely, and that's why you've seen so many turnovers by this Miles defense.
True freshman LaShawn Young leads all of Division II with the 7 interceptions, the defensive player of the year, and keep in mind he had a couple of picks taken away because of penalties. Just an incredible young talent.
Natural ball skills, true center fielder for this defense. He knows where to locate the football when the ball is in the air. Great job this season.
Clark Atlanta won the coin toss. They elected to defer, so we will see this Miles College offense go to work as the championship game underway here on a gorgeous afternoon from Fairfield.
Kickoff, return by number 38, Derek Davis.
Good news for the Golden Bears. They have a healthy Cameron Ivory. He has missed some time this year. Ivory, the redshirt junior, transfer in from Alcorn State. This is his 2nd year with the program, and when he's been in there, good things have happened. A dual threat quarterback. So first down from the 22. They go empty set. Trips to the top. A design draw right up the middle, and a big hole opens up. Ivory out past the 40, upended at the 41. It's a gain of 18 yards brought down by James Somerset.
You see what Miles is doing early. They're spreading out the defense, going 5 wides, creating lanes for the quarterback to get up the field. So that'll be something to watch throughout this afternoon, how Clark Atlanta adjusts when they go to an empty set.
Keep in mind, Ivory missed 4 games this year, but a quick start here, a throw and strike to Griffin, who makes the catch, and Miles College working very quickly on this opening drive.
Number 6, Darius Griffin.
You see they are having some issues with the game clock. It has not started, so a Golden Bear team that wanted to come out just flying. The design draw nets good yards, then the quick throw and strike to Griffin, and now the officials coming together to get this game clock situated.
And one of the things coming into this football game, Coach Keaton talked about
the game clock.
Clark University, Atlanta Clark University's defense is
13
stopping.
minutes, 50 seconds, clock will start on my signal.
Is stopping the run and making this Miles offense one-dimensional. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of defensive adjustments they continue to make to try to slow down the rushing attack from this Miles offense.
2nd down and 3. They're going to set up the screen far side. A flag flies, and a good job there by the Panthers as they're able to get the ball to Jay Andrews.
Jay Andrews, flag on the play.
Holding. Offense on 13. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's the tight end, Trayvonte Abner, who they are happy to have back in the lineup. He's been absent the last couple of weeks.
And a good job by Seth Brooks, number 38 on the outside, keeping that edge, forcing Abner to hold him on the outside. That's what you want to do. You want to keep that edge. You cannot allow the backs of receivers to get to the outside. You want to keep the edge and allow pursuit to get to those guys.
Cam Ivory did not play in the first matchup with these two teams. That was one of the games he was out nursing an injury. So this is Clark Atlanta's first look at the junior quarterback. 2nd down, he runs that option look, pitches late. Good job there by the Panthers. They had it stacked up, nowhere to go.
The pitch to number 3, Denaro Scott.
And a good job by Clark Atlanta getting pressure up the field. You see right there, there's pressure, immediate pressure. There's nowhere for the back to get north and south. He's able to get as many yards as he can, but he doesn't have the lane that he's looking for because of that immediate pressure on the outside. And that's something I think you'll see throughout this afternoon. This defense stepping up, getting up the field, trying to get immediate pressure on the quarterback, Ivory, but also trying to close up and get good run fits to stop that rushing attack.
Keep an eye on number 48 as he puts on the pressure. Ivory, eye still downfield. Time to throw. No one open. And finally, he just shucks you toward the sideline. Terrific job downfield by this Clark Atlanta secondary. Nowhere for Ivory to go.
And I thought it was a good job by the offensive line as well as the defensive backfield. They gave the quarterback enough time, but I like the Cam Ivory did not try to force that. He kept his eyes down the field. He did not see anything he liked. He scrambled to the outside to try to give more time for the receivers to come back to him and get open. He did not see anything, and he got the ball safely out of bounds. That's what you want to see from the quarterback position, especially an older guy that understands you'd rather live to play another down as opposed to giving up an easy turnover.
So the holding call on that drive somewhat stymies the early momentum for Miles College. Now they are forced to punt it. Roderick Smith, Jamal Jones, Virgil Young, 2 dangerous return men. Terrific kick inside the 10. Spinning away up to the 15, and then a big hit put on. The championship field here from Fairfield, and David Wright III, not 1 but 2 Conference Player of the Year honors. He's a quarterback that fits this air raid offense.
Well, he can scramble outside of the pocket and make plays with his feet. He can spin it with the best of them, and then his receivers does a dynamic job for him on the outside. You saw that 1 foot in, reaching up, grabbing that football, squeezing it, coming down with it. That is why this offense has been so dynamic.
The SIAC passing leader in both yards and touchdowns. He is coming off a 5-interception performance last weekend in the road win at Morehouse.
And that's a rivalry game, and in that game, what the coaching staff talked about, he tried to do too much as opposed to taking what the offense or what the defense gave him.
They don't run the ball a lot. First down, snipped out that time by Carson Pritchett.
Number 12, Alan Riggins. He stopped by number 58.
You look at this backfield for Clark Atlanta. They'll rotate a trio of backs. Alan Riggins, Trayvon Pender, and Elijah Crockett. It's Riggins who gets the call today.
For Clark Atlanta.
He's been busy the last couple of weeks. But with this air raid offense and what Teddy Keaton wants to do, you'll see a lot of those quick, short passes that almost act like a run in most offenses. Pressure up the middle. He'll take a shot downfield, and a diving catch is made right in front of the Miles bench. Jamal Jones says, don't forget about me when it comes time to pick these all-conference players.
And this is a player that I look to have a big game this afternoon. We talked about it in the open. He got overlooked when they talked about when they came up with the all-conference players. This young man comes into this game with 824 yards receiving, 67 receptions, and you saw right there his ability to get open and make dynamic catches.
Jones now with 68 receptions this year. His buddy Harris with 65. 29 yards on the completion, and it gives the Panthers some breathing room as they again try to test the waters inside to not much luck. Riggins popped once again by Carson Pritchett.
And the offensive tackle has to do a better job of taking a drop step with that inside foot. You want to get that outside shoulder inside of that defensive lineman. That's the way you have the leverage to allow for the lane for the back to get up in the seam.
You see David Wright organizing this offense and the complete trust that Teddy Keaton has with him. Here's that quick pass that we were talking about, trying to get these receivers in space. Ball popped loose late. Let's see if they're going to say he was down. It looks like they're going to mark him down. That was Virgil Young trying to scrape for some extra yardage.
And as this game progresses, Sean, what I want to see from Miles is how they can generate pressure on the quarterback. You cannot allow David Wright to sit back there and look for receivers and allow these receivers to get to the top of their routes. They've got to find a way to get pressure on Wright, but then you get him moving outside the pocket, and he's as dangerous, or maybe a little bit more dangerous, because of his ability to run and keep his eyes down the field.
Clark Atlanta faced with their first third down. They have struggled on third downs this year, and now a stoppage. That play clock was winding down.
To the snap, delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, third down.
So we've seen each team with a costly penalty on their respective opening drives.
And that's a brutal penalty on 3rd and 3.5. Now you go to 3rd and 8, which kind of changes up your play calling. With that 3rd and 3.5, you can get the ball out to your playmaker quickly, and they can get those 3 yards for you. But this makes it a tad bit more difficult.
Marvin Cunningham, who has spent a lot of time on the defensive side of the football, coming over to the offense to call Teddy Keaton's plays in that air raid type of offense. 3rd down and 8. Here's that running ability by Wright. He'll pick up the first down, does not go out of bounds, picks up a few extra yards into plus territory.
And you watch how this play is drawn up. They are creating a bunch of movement at the snap of the football, and you see the defense reacting. But this is what makes David Wright such a dangerous offensive weapon. He's able to read defenses. He knows what they're going to do defensively, and he responds to that immediately. A lot of quarterbacks will have to decipher and try and see what they're doing, but he's such a student of the game. He understands when opportunities are there.
20-yard rush by Wright keeps the offense out on the field. 1st down and 10 at the Miles 39. A handoff and a hit. Hello. That was Jamichael Rogers, part of that fearsome duo of Dowdell and Rogers on this D-line.
And big fella number 78, you've got to keep your eyes up. You see Dimitri Singleton, if he keeps his eyes up, he'll see that defender, but he's looking around. You've got to be able to keep your eyes up and see that defender. You cannot let anyone cross your face.
Rogers, the junior, having a breakout season this year. 6 sacks. Talked about his buddy on the opposite side, Rock Dowdell. That is why this defensive front line is feared by everybody in the SIAC. Loss of 3. They run a stunt, picked up. They'll take a deep shot, looking for Jones. Goes up, high points the ball, but then it was ripped away and incomplete. Good recovery by Donshea Gaither when it looked like Jones had high pointed it perfectly.
And if Wright puts a little bit more on this football, I think Jones is walking in for the touchdown. He put too much air under the ball, allowing Donshea Gaither to come back, get up under there, and make a play. You see Gaither going all the way through, and defensive players This is what you have to do. Continue to fight all the way through. Jones had this football, but because Gaither did not give up on the play, he was able to pull the ball out at the end.
Gaither has really come up big late in the season. The redshirt junior from Jefferson, Georgia, had a couple of interceptions last week in the win against Tuskegee. Rolling right hit as he throws, ball up in the air, and it's picked off. Taking it to the house for the touchdown. Miles College strikes.
Are you going to show that again?
William Hardy off the hit by Keith Green. Opportunistic. And a team that has relied on their defense all year strikes early.
And the thing about this, Coach Keaton saw that they had a scheme set up that was not favorable. He was trying to call timeout prior to the snap of the football. And a lot of times as a quarterback, you trust your tackles to make sure they're going to take care of your backside. And I think on that play, Wright might have trusted his tackle just a tad bit too much, and he stayed too long in the backfield.
A hard-hitting defense, all set up by the hit from Green, and right into the lap of the second-team all-conference player, William Hardy. 51 yards to the house. Miles fires the opening salvo. ESPN College Football presented by McDonald's. When it looked like Clark Atlanta was getting a little momentum, moving that football down the field, this defense strikes. We highlighted them at the top of the show. William Hardy catching the deflected ball as Keith Green put the hit on right. Teddy Keaton saw this in the first matchup. He saw this Miles defense get a pick six and a block punt. He said they must clean up those two areas, special teams and turnovers, and wouldn't you know it, that's what comes back to bite them on their opening drive as we go back to the play.
And you see Coach Keaton right here trying to call timeout. There was something that he did not like, and then he went on and allowed the play to proceed. And we talked earlier about the defensive backs doing a good job intercepting the football because of the pressure by the front end. On this play, I thought the defensive backs did a great job in coverage on the back end, allowing those defenders the extra time they needed to get to the quarterback right to get pressure from the backside. The tight end has to do a better job of keeping the shoulder square to the line of scrimmage, being stout at the point of attack. If he does, I think Wright has the time he needs to go down the field where he was looking for one of his big play receivers.
William Hardy, who took that one to the house, not out there right now, cramping up. So it's the freshman Yafando who replaces him as they get the ball out to Harris.
Number 3, Armani Harris.
Tackled by John Robinson. So, Forrest, if you're Clark Atlanta, you're thinking a little bit of deja vu here. You have nightmares from the homecoming game with Miles earlier where you gave some points. How do you get the team back on track?
You can't think about that. You can't allow your mind to be negative. It's one play. One play doesn't win a football game. One play allowed the other team to score. Now you've got to go back out as an offense and continue to push forward and try and put points on the board.
Little jet flip. This is Ronnie West, but Miles not fooled as they stretched it out perfectly.
Number 2, Ronnie West.
Zion Sharp setting up a third down.
Stopped by number 24, LaShawn Young. And number 15, Zion Sharp.
Coming in this offense, close to 400 yards per game. A good majority of those yards coming via the air, and the golden right arm of that man right there, David Wright III. They'll rely on that arm. He won't have a chance to showcase it. The pressure from the Bears and the sack. Man, what a start by this defensive line, and Jamichael Rogers, the firecracker up front with the sack.
Well, the right tackle does a poor job of sitting in his hips. You've got to be squatty. You've got to come straight back. at the snap of the football, what Denzel Moore does, he opens up that outside shoulder. And when you've got a pass rusher like Jermichael Rogers that has that great bend, that lean, he's going to get up the field and be able to turn that corner immediately. You've got to get 3 kick steps before you allow those defensive ends to turn the corner, because at that 3rd kick step, now you're at the quarterback's level, and when you turn, you're running them past the quarterback, allowing the quarterback the width that he needs and the depth to step up in the pocket.
First charge, timeout.
Miles College going to use a timeout. 5:14 to go in this first quarter, and there is Sam Shade, year number 3. Now, we talked about the turnaround for Clark Atlanta. Keep in mind, year 1 for Shade, this program went 1-9. Last year, they were 1 win away from making it to this championship game, and then he put everything together as they are back into the championship fray this afternoon, and for the first time, the opportunity to host it right here in Fairfield.
The Allstate Saturday Kickoff is brought to you by Allstate. You're in good hands. And McDonald's.
Second time in less than a month that Miles and Clark Atlanta have squared off. Miles spoiling the Panther homecoming on their patented red turf back on October 19th. Clark Atlanta hoping for a different outcome here this afternoon. The stakes even higher. Leonardo Cabrera gets the kick away. A little wobbler, and this one will be touched dead right around the 40-yard line. So, Forrest, you go back to the first meeting between these two teams. Clark Atlanta actually marched it down the field early, grabbed the lead. They outgained Miles in that contest, but the balanced attack, but the killer statistic, if you're a Panther, that final category, turnovers.
Absolutely, and that can win you football games and lose you football games, and that's one of the things that the Miles coaches talked to us about. They said, hey, the score is not indicative of how tough this game was and how this offense moved the ball up and down the field on us. They had over 400 yards of offense against Miles the last times these two teams matched up. So there's a concern from the Miles defense to try and slow down this offensive attack from Atlanta Clark University.
Miles College had scoring drives in that first matchup with the Panthers of 34, 31, and 14 yards, plus the punt block for 6 and the pick 6. Second offensive set for the Golden Bears as they try to get Gennaro Scott rolling. Scott with a yard or two, bringing up a second down. Jaden Cleveland, the talented freshman, lost his lid, so he'll have to check out for a play. Man, he's made an immediate impact. This is a young man that joined the program as a walk-on. He played for Coach Cole back in his high school days, and he has been one of their most consistent defenders up front. Good job by Scott picking up the blitz, rolling right. Ivory with some room. And Cam Ivory gets actually pushed ahead past the sticks and a first down run.
And a good job by Ivory to identify there was nowhere to go with the football. He took his time, kept his eyes down the field. He knew he could outrun that defensive lineman to the edge. Jaden Cleveland couldn't get to him, and he knew he'd had opportunity to turn it up the field and get positive yards. And I'm sorry, I meant Artaven Edmond, not Jaden Cleveland.
Mentioned the running back taking out the end there. That was Curtis Way, one of the top defenders for Clark Atlanta, who hobbled to the sideline, the recipient of that block. So we'll keep an eye on that. Patient run, just knifing his way through a little crevice into plus territory up ahead to the Panther 44.
Stop by number 24, Marquavius Henderson.
One thing about Miles, this is a tough team to work your way back on. They love to work with the lead, obviously with their talented defense, and then this massive offensive line where they can run behind.
Well, they do a good job with the gap scheme, rushing attack that they use. Their guards and their tight ends do a good job of pulling and getting those kick-out blocks that are necessary to allow the back to get up the field.
Second down, they try to stretch it to Scott. He's able to get to the corner, and then he is shouldered out of bounds by James Somerset.
Knocked out of bounds by number 6.
And good initial pressure by Clark Atlanta on this. But you see the back able to get to the outside quickly. He sees the pressure coming up the field. Scott gets to the edge, gets the yards necessary to put his team in a position to be close enough to convert this third down. They did convert it. So a good job identifying that the pressure was immediate and that he needed to get to the edge and get those yards.
Sam Shea told us on the call this week if Scott had been healthy all year, he would have led the conference in rushing as they take their first shot downfield, but well covered.
Ivory's pass.
I think Jaquel Fells, if he runs through that route as opposed to slowing down, he puts himself in a position to make a play on that football or the defender to run through him. He had the space that he needed to get up the field. It seemed like he cut that route a tad bit too short.
Ivory 1 of 3 here in this first quarter. They have inflicted the most damage on the ground, the duo of Ivory and Scott. The pick 6 off the hit by Green. Hardy taking it 51 yards, the only points so far. Second down and 10. Ivory with a clean pocket. Now it collapses, and so does he. Helmet comes out of the pile. A flag is thrown in late as well. That's Ivory who ended up without his helmet. So a lot to sort out here as Clark Atlanta able to get to the junior quarterback.
Well, what Clark Atlanta did on that play, they did a tackle in twist, and they brought the linebacker delayed on that play. So the offensive linemen are trying to decipher what their blocking schemes are. As an offensive lineman, you've got to stay hip to hip with your line mate until he knocks you off to get the looping defender. You cannot come off
personal
on
foul,
defender.
Face mask, defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
You cannot come off on that looping defender unless you get bumped off. So they came off. You've got to wait to get bumped off. Now you see the loop coming around. And you see right here, you just got to make the tackle. And you see the helmet comes off of Ivory. So this was an egregious face mask. That was not just a slip and grab of the mask. That was an egregious face mask. So as a defender, you've got to be careful. You've got to grab the shoulder pad, grab the jersey, but you cannot grab the face mask.
15-yard penalty, and they are sniffing at this red zone now from the 24-yard line on the far side. Hole opens up. Scott to the outside. He's at the 15, and you see how he likes to finish the run. This is a running back who likes to deliver the punishment.
And look at the offensive lineman. A good job on the outside by number 55, Keith Williams, and number 75, Phillip Jackson, giving Scott the lane that he needed to get up the field.
He's at the 13-yard line.
Team that likes to run the football, nobody better in the SIAC. And again, they do it with a number of backs. Scott, their clear go-to number 1 guy. But as we talked a little bit about, the only thing that has slowed him down the last couple of years have been injuries. He is healthy for the postseason. They go right up the gut with it, and it is a gain of 8 on the quick hitter. Once again, Gennaro Scott.
And right now you're starting to see these big fellas on the offensive line lean on the Clark defenders. You've got an offensive line averaging 6'2", 308 versus a 6', 250-pound defensive line. You see how big that hole was for the back to get up the field. That is something we need to continue to look at as the game progresses. You know, the size differential of the offensive line from Miles versus the Clark Atlanta University defensive line and how they're able to get movement at the point of attack.
Let's see if they use some of that strength and weight on this second down and 2. Change of direction, untouched for the touchdown. Gennaro Scott and Miles College sending an early statement.
Touchdown run by number 3, Gennaro Scott.
And on the goal line, what you're looking for your defenders is to be basically in a 4-point stance and uproot. But look, you see a bunch of black jerseys pushing white jerseys backwards. There were 4 or 5 white jerseys in the end zone going backwards on that play. So an awesome job by the offensive line from Miles College to fire off the football and get movement at the point of attack.
9 plays, 60 yards, and it's capped off by Gennaro Scott, who was a power lifter back in his high school days at Woodlawn. won some regional tournaments because of his strength. No strength needed on that last run. His offensive line provided that punch. Every single ounce of yardage on that last drive coming on the ground. Miles and the Golden Bears, 9 plays, 60 yards. Gennaro Scott already 41 yards and 7 carries. Sam Shade has watched his team jump out to a quick 14-0 lead.
Just what the doctor ordered for this Miles College when you look at their ability to get the ball up the field and not put their quarterback in harm's way. I think what that will do is that we'll see an adjustment. Oh my goodness.
Virgil Young returns it up to the 25. Don't forget, coming up next at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific over on ABC and ESPN+. It's off to the Swamp, number 22 LSU in Florida. And then we cap off the night between the Hedges and Athens, 12th ranked Georgia hosting number 7 Tennessee.
And Sean, I stopped mid-thought because there was an incredible hit on the field. I hope the Miles College player is going to be okay.
That is Tadarius Canada. Just caught the wrong end of a clean block. Just flatlined him there, and the attention to the injured Golden Bear.
And I think both players were hurt on that play. Wide receiver Ronnie West, number 2 for Clark Atlanta, was the other player involved on that play. It's good to see Tadarius Canada sitting up right now.
Young freshman out of Memphis, the 175-pounder who they will rely on as a nickelback throughout the course of this game, and that is a wonderful sight to see.
Awesome. Sometimes when you take a big hit, you just need to sit there for a minute and kind of shake it off. I mean, that was a huge hit he took. He went airborne, but he was able to shake it off and jog off the field. So that's a great sign for Miles College moving forward. I expect to see him back out on the football field once they do all of their medical checkups.
You know, we had a chance to talk to both staffs this week. We arrived early this morning. You just feel the intensity right now in Fairfield and how much this championship would mean to these two programs. Miles trying to get back on top. Clark Atlanta trying to send a statement saying we have arrived. Right now, though, they just cannot figure out this defensive line. Nowhere for David Wright to go. Giovanni Williams.
Well, one of the problems that they're having right now is they're going 5 wide, so there's nobody back there to help the quarterback if a defensive player is able to beat the offensive lineman at the initial point of attack. I think Clark has to make an adjustment. They need to put someone in the backfield with Wright to give him an extra piece of protection to allow him the time that he needs to look down the field for his big play receivers.
Second down. Wright will throw, and this one offline. You get the feeling that inaccuracy we just saw maybe the result of the previous few plays. He's expecting the contact.
Well, you saw on that play they left it back in the backfield. They left a tight end in as well. So he had 2 extra pieces of protection on that play, but he rushed that throw because the last couple of times he's dropped back, he's had immediate pressure. If he takes his time and steps into that throw, he had an opportunity to get the ball to Harris on the outside, one-on-one with the defender in open space.
Back-to-back Conference Player of the Year honors for David Wright. They bring the delayed blitz. Miscommunication as this one sails over everybody's head. And Clark Atlanta on the road in some real trouble right now as they send out the punting unit.
Well, if I'm Clark Atlanta, what I'm doing is I'm going to use this aggressive defense against them. I'm going to go with the screen pass. I'm going to do some shuffle pass. Some of these things to alleviate that pressure and make them kind of get back on their heels, because right now they're just pinning their ears back and coming after the quarterback. You've got to do something to offset the pressure that they're getting defensively.
Wright 4 of 7 in this first quarter, just the 35 yards. Cabrera on the punt for the second time. Tremendous place kicker, and now the snap goes right over his head, and smartly he'll just kick it out of the end zone. Now there is a flag down as well. Let's wait and see what the flag is all about. And this is
kicking team number 93. By rule, that foul occurred in the end zone. Result of the play is a safety.
So as we thought, the safety, smart play there by Cabrera. No chance as the snap sailed on him.
And you see the snap went high. Cabrera did the best thing that you could do right there. Kick the ball out the back of the end zone, give up the 2 points. What you don't want to do is try to recover this football and either not recover it and allow them to recover it for a touchdown, or get tackled recovering the football and give them a short field to get 7 as opposed to the 2 that you gave up.
So Keaton has watched a pick 6 and now a safety on special teams. And again, we go back to those 2 areas that we talked about that Miles College won back in October: defensive points and special teams.
And for Clark Atlanta University, defensively, they've done everything that you could ask a defense to do as far as trying to slow down this potent offense from Miles. But when you look at the scores and how those scores have come about, it's because the offense has not been able to get anything consistent moving the ball down the field. They're giving up better field position when they're punting the ball. And you talked about it, Sean, the turnover on offense, creating that pick 6.
Cabrera will send the spiraling ball downfield, picked up by Fells at the 28-yard line.
The fair catch by number 7.
We'll say that Fells signaled the fair catch. So a 16-0 lead, 11 seconds to go in this opening quarter, and Miles trying to get back on top of the SIAC. Off to pretty much a perfect start here in front of a sold-out crowd at Alumni Stadium.
And if you're Clark Atlanta University right now, you've got to dial it up a little bit more defensively.
15 buses from Atlanta for Panther Nation, and you see the purple and the gold and the black just stretched all around the stadium today, and they are liking what they are seeing. Quick throw over the middle, pass is caught up near the 40 to the 41-yard line on what should be the final play of this first quarter.
Number 13,
Abner, the difference maker at tight end, such a mismatch for opposing secondaries. The Bands have showed up, a champion to be crowned, and Miles College serving up some offense, defense, and special teams. All Golden Bears from Fairfield. All-State Saturday kickoff from beautiful Fairfield, Alabama. The rolling hills looking in at Birmingham, about 15 miles just outside Birmingham. Enrollment right around 1,500. Richard Arrington, the longtime popular Birmingham mayor, a graduate of Miles College. Founded all the way back in 1898. Quite the football tradition as well. And Sam Shade has this program rolling, year number 3, and a terrific start to this one. And now the flea flicker and the bag of tricks. Frank Pierre, wide open, makes the catch inside the 15.
So many levels to this play. They come with the jet sweep action, so you have to keep your eyes on that action. Then they hand the ball off to the dive back, so you have to keep your eyes on that, and then throw it, pitch it back to Ivory, and he gets the ball down the field. If he's able to put a little bit more on that football, Pierre was way past the defender, and that would have been a walk-in touchdown.
So just like that, inside the red zone, now dodging his way around Panther defenders. Running to the boundary side goes Scott, and whatever button they're pushing, it's working.
Well, that's what makes Gennaro Scott such a hard player to tackle. You see him with the jump cut, get to the outside. He's a patient runner. He waits for the seam to open, and when he sees it, he pops up in there. So that's what you want your backs to do. A lot of times, backs get the ball and run all wild, willy-nilly up in there. Allow the play to develop. He does a good job of allowing that to develop.
They can still pick up a first down, 2nd and 4. Ball just outside the 7, right back to Scott, runs into that pile. He has stood up at the 5, bringing up a 3rd and very short. I don't think they're going to give him the first down, so 3rd and less than a yard for Miles College as they're knocking on the doorstep.
And if you're Clark Atlanta University, this is a huge play. You've got to get pushed at the point of attack. You've got to be the low man. The low man wins.
They bring in the 2 tight ends. Quavius Lee to the left, Abner to the right. Lone back is Scott, who's carried the workload in this first half. 3rd, less than a yard. This is a keeper by Ivory, and he will lower the shoulder pads. Looked like if he would have kept going toward the corner, he might have had a shot to score, but he turned it back in, took the punishment, moves the sticks, however.
And I think I do agree if he was more immediate. Right here, boom, just go to the pylon, run to the pylon. But he starts to jog as if he felt like they were just going to let him score. Like, no, you've got to earn this. You've got to sprint to that pylon.
Old school football here, the full house backfield, and this is Leatherwood. He's their goal line specialist, and this is what he does. He scores touchdowns. Javonte Leatherwood, his 10th rushing touchdown of the year.
And they're running behind that all-conference left side, Christian Twyman and Jason Stovall. Great push at the point of attack. You saw Twyman just drive the defender down to the inside as an offensive tackle. That's what you're looking for from your offensive line down on the goal line. Movement at the point of attack. Be people movers. And that's what they did on that play to allow Leatherwood to basically walk into the end zone.
Leatherwood has now scored a touchdown in 6 of the last 7 games. The bag of tricks for Miles College. It all started with the flea flicker, the 45-yard pass, and then back to their traditional football, power football, in your face. Leatherwood with the touchdown run. Keep the action here. There was a late flag thrown. Post-whistle activity as the officials are sorting it out. And Troy Singleton, our referee.
The result of the play, the PAT is successful. After the play, on sportsmanlike conduct, number 7 in the kicking team, his first. That 15-yard penalty being forced on the kickoff, timeout.
So Miles will kick it off 15 yards, a little bit further back. All smiles right now, though, for the Golden Bears. Another long scoring drive for Miles Golden Bears. 6 plays, 72 yards. The big play was the flea flicker that set them up in the red zone. And for us, during that commercial break, we saw the unsportsmanlike penalty, and these Miles College coaches using that as an opportunity to say, don't ease up with the large lead.
They didn't say it that nice.
I was trying to keep it G-rated for our audience at home.
But I love the intensity by Coach in the booth right next to us. We could hear him word for word. And one of the things he kept saying, don't talk, listen. And I thought that was great by the coaching staff.
Jamal Jones takes it out near the 40. Don't forget, kickoff your Week 11 NFL. Well, it is go time for this high-octane offense as they start at the 44-yard line, and they will hand the ball off to Trayvon Pender. His first touch of the afternoon as Pender takes it up to the 48-yard line. There is a great brand with this program, the Panthers of Clark Atlanta, located in Atlanta, Georgia. Enrollment a little more than 4,100. Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Jefferson was a pilot, Tuskegee Airmen, Kenya Barris, C. Lamont Smith, some of their notable alumni. Possibly a historic day for this institution. The first time that Clark Atlanta has played for an outright championship. They had a 5-way split back in 1991. Quick hitter right up the middle, and they will pick up the first down run from Pender. And Forrest, I got to believe you like these first two play calls. No panic. Let's try to start winning this line of scrimmage.
Well, absolutely, Sean. There's a lot of football left to be played. We have not even gotten to the halfway point of the second quarter. They've just got to settle down, get back to what they do, which is getting the ball to playmakers in space. I like running the ball early. You make this Miles defense start to bring more players down in the box.
Trying to get Harris in some space. He takes it up to the 35, a gain of 7. Nice kick-out block by his buddy Jamal Jones, brought down by LaShawn Young.
And you see right here, you get the ball to Harris, you get blocking on the outside, and you see his ability to get up the field immediate. That is where I think Clark Atlanta is most dangerous, when they get the ball to those playmakers and they are as immediate as they are getting the ball north and south.
Second down, right with time, zips it. There's that velocity, staying on his feet. Jones to the 5, dives ahead. Touchdown. The ball popped out late, but Jones was across 35 yards, and just like that, the Panthers something to build on.
And we talked earlier about Jones being angry coming into this game because he got overlooked from the conference. And you see his ability. He squeezes the football. He breaks the tackle. He shows the balance. Gets his hand down to make sure he stays up. Great route. But you see right there, squeezes the football, breaks the tackle, get that hand down, and he's got the speed to get to the end zone and dive over before a defender can get there. And just in case he had fumbled the ball, Virgil Young was there to recover it.
Extra point is good, and Clark Atlanta is on the board. The familiar combination, the terrific duo, David Wright, Jamal Jones. NFL prospects have brought up the words Piercy Harvin when you look at Jones. Similar size, same result, playmaker all the way. Both these teams have playoffs in mind as well after this afternoon. Winner of this game, an opportunity to compete in the Division II playoffs. So Clark Atlanta able to get a quick strike offense going, and now 10.5 minutes to go in the second quarter. Miles with a 16-point lead. If there's ever a time for this Panther defense to make a play, this would be that time.
They've got to get a stop. They cannot allow Miles College to drive the ball down the field and put another score on the board, especially after they've had that successful offensive drive. You've got a little bit of momentum offensively for Clark Atlanta University right now, so you want to get the ball back to David Wright and those playmakers.
L.C. Cole, the defensive coordinator, longtime high school coach. Let's see what adjustments he makes. First down for Miles College from the 25. Pressure immediately right up the middle, and Ivory is forced to just throw it away. That was Caleb Pierce and Curtis Way applying the pressure.
Well, a good job by Clark Atlanta getting immediate pressure on the quarterback. They're playing a cover 2 right there, so there's nowhere for Ivory to go with the football. That's exactly what you're looking for from that cover 2 defense. The defensive back on the outside pass the receiver off to the safety on the back end, and that allowed him to stay intermediate, and that gave Ivory nowhere to go with the football.
L.C. Cole came with his head coach, Teddy Keaton from Allen University, longtime high school coach. He said after this winter offseason, they went into spring with 48 players on the defensive side as Ivory takes a shot downfield, incomplete. By the time spring ball wrapped up, they had only 7 players remaining from that original 48.
Well, he had to, cut the fat. He said he had to get rid of some players that were a bad influence. He had to get players in there to run the scheme that he wants to run. One of the things he talked about is the offensive line, and having to retool and rebuild those guys because they did not have the skill set necessary for this air raid type offense.
Third down and 10. Miles right in the middle of the pack on the season at 42%, 1 of 2 this afternoon.
And Clark Atlanta University has gotten pressure on those first 2 plays. Can they get pressure again?
They will rush 4. They get pressure up the middle, and they get to Ivory. Sacked back inside the 20. Ardovan Edmond, the senior from Columbus, Georgia, with his 4th sack of the year.
And he plays with violent hands. I love the way he stepped to the inside, used his hands to fend off the offensive tackle. The offensive lineman, they've got to do a better job of sitting down. When you're sitting down and you're sitting in your hips, you can redirect. But when you're standing over yourself and you don't have any knee bend, you can't redirect. A good job by Edmond, contorting his body, using his hands to get past the offensive lineman to get immediate pressure.
So Clark Atlanta and this defense, a quick 3 and out. They will get the football back to this offense. Here they come after the kick, and barely getting it away is Roderick Smith. High, shallow kick. And it will be the Panthers from the 43 when we come back to Fairfield. Miles College up 16. Well, this Clark Atlanta offense showing signs of life on the last drive. What do you need to do? Get the ball to the playmakers. First it was Harris, and then the touchdown yards after catch, Jamal Jones. 35-yard strike, and the Panthers on the board, and now they go right back to the hot hand, and Jones, he will work his way up to the 47-yard line. And this terrific duo of Jones and Harris. Armand Harris, the junior out of Tampa, Florida. He was a Tampa Bay Tech product. You see where he is at in the current Division II rankings, up near the top, 65 receptions. He's added a few more today, closing in on a 1,000-yard season as well. Second down and some power football from Pender, who has provided a little bit of a spark.
You know, one of the things, Sean, we talked about earlier before the last kickoff from Miles College when they scored that touchdown was the unsportsmanlike penalty and how that can haunt you. Well, we saw it haunt the Miles offense when they had terrible field position on that last drive, and that in turn allowed Clark to bring pressure, get the ball back to their offense. So when you talk about guys making boneheaded plays, it can not only hurt you but hurt your team in the long run.
It's been all Clark Atlanta since that penalty. 2-by-2 set. They're going to take a shot. 50-50 ball, incomplete. They were looking for Jones. Blanket coverage by Josh Ruff. And there's an injured Golden Bear in the backfield as well. Can't quite tell who the injured defender is for Miles College as the medical staff attends to him. You're David Wright. That's a good shot. You see the one-on-one coverage. He read the safety. He's going to try to get Jamal Jones in a position to make a play. Just exceptional coverage by Josh Ruff.
And that's Kason Boston, number 92. That is down right now. It looks like they're checking the stability of his right knee. Something you hate to see when a player goes down.
Boston in his 3rd stop after starting his career at East Mississippi Community College. Then he transferred to Appalachian State as part of their program. Had a solid season at East Mississippi. Team that went 8-3, and then, as we talked about, the 1 year at App State did not work out there, but he's found a home, part of that defensive line rotation. And it's a defensive line that Sam Shade and defensive coordinator Chris Schelling will roll 8 to 10 guys each and every game.
And that's what makes it difficult to block them, because you've got fresh legs coming in and out of the lineup, and you also are dealing with a defense that gives you varying looks. And they will bring TE twists. They will bring the blitz package. They will drop back into coverage. They will drop defensive linemen into coverage at times to try to fool the offense and get them to play into what they want them to do.
Number 92, Kason Boston.
Just try to take a look here at number 92, Case in Boston, coming from that right-hand side, and it looks like friendly fire.
He got a helmet directly into his knee, and you saw his right leg hyperextend on that play.
Yeah, that was the safety, Milton Adams, who came in. So we'll keep an eye on Boston along the near side. In the meantime, 2nd and 10. David Wright starting to heat up. 2 receivers right, 1 left. He looks right over the middle. Pass caught. Boy, snatching that one at the 31 is Armand Harris, and another first down. And this Panther offense in a groove.
You see Miles go with 0 coverage. There's no safety help. They brought the house on that play. A good job by Wright identifying the coverage and identifying where he needed to go at the football. And that's one of the things the Miles coaching staff talked about. They said David Wright makes them dangerous because he can read every defense that they play against him.
Downfield looking for Virgil Young, but well defended, using that sideline as an extra defender. Just nowhere to work. That's Malachi Oglin, who's back this week after missing the last couple of weeks with an injury.
And a good job by Oglin, not panicking on that play. And as you said, Sean, using the sideline to his advantage. Both players had hands on one another. I like the officials allowed them to play that out and did not call a penalty on anyone on that play because both the offensive and defensive players were hand fighting.
Right now, 8 of 13. The 99 yards. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Wright sprints out, trying to direct traffic downfield, launches toward the end zone. Again, just nowhere to work. Another injury as well. And now some late pushing and shoving out in front of that Clark Atlanta bench. Michael Rogers in the center of it. Spirited leader of this defense. Sidelines trying to keep the emotions in check.
What up? It's your girl, Raquel.
You see right here, you see Wright pointing down the field, telling his receiver to get up the field. And there's nothing dirty about that play. I like the fact that Jermichael Rogers put a little bit of pad on the quarterback. But then, of course, offensive linemen are going to get chippy when you take a hit out on their quarterback. Offensive linemen and specialty players, possession players, you know, your receivers, your running backs, your tight ends, they're going to take exception when their quarterback takes a little hit like that.
3rd down and 10, zipping it toward the far side. A strike and a first down to the 19. They needed 10. They pick up 12, and they are inside the red zone. Another catch for Jones and a first down.
And Jamal Jones is playing like a guy that's angry right now. He's finding openings. He's doing a good job of squeezing the football when the quarterback gets it out to him. And we will continue to see him find areas to make a play for his quarterback as long as Miles Collins continues to play him man up. I think they're going to have to shade some coverage over to his side.
Pender on first down, scrapes ahead for 2 or 3 yards. Another helmet coming off. We've seen a number of helmets get ripped off here. That time it's Pender, and the jawing back and forth continues.
Well, this is championship football.
We wouldn't have it any other way, right?
Absolutely not.
There's an injury as well. Again, it's a Golden Bear who is down. Yeah, I got laughing for us when we saw Wright take that hit from Rogers, and you talked about defending your quarterback. I'm sure we saw some rage from the old foe back in the day when Charlie Ward took a pop like that.
Oh, absolutely. First of all, he wasn't getting popped like that. we were a really good offensive line, but we had a couple of plays, though, honestly, that he did get hit. And there was some extracurricular activity, and, you know, we didn't mind getting kicked out the game to go and handle that. So that's what an offensive lineman is supposed to do. You're supposed to protect your guy and make sure that he understands if somebody comes after him, we're going to go after them. So I have no problem with that. You know, you want to stay within the whistles. You don't want to do anything dirty to hurt anybody. But every now and then you have to step up in somebody's chest and let them know, not our guy.
Can't do that to our star. This offensive line, which was having a tough time in the first quarter, starting to get some traction in this second quarter.
Well, one of the things that's unique about this offensive line, they've got one player over 6 feet the 6'3" left tackle. Everybody else is 5'10" and 5'11", but they have a low center of gravity, and that allows them to get under those defenders.
Little hitch pattern. Jones the catch. Jones stays on his feet, adds a spin, and he has his second touchdown catch of the day. Jamal Jones on fire, and here comes Clark Atlanta roaring right back.
We said it at the beginning of the broadcast. This is an angry young man. He felt like he was overlooked, and he is showing up. He breaks the tackle to the outside, breaks 2 more tackles, spins, shows the balance, and gets to the end zone for the touchdown. This is what makes this offense so dynamic. You get the ball to playmakers in space, and they're guys that can make plays for you against defenders on the outside.
The combination of Wright and Jones providing some second quarter offense for the Panthers. After falling behind in Spotty Miles 23, the Panthers back in it.
Now what's interesting, Sean, they didn't go for the 2-point conversion on that play, which would have put them only a touchdown and another 2-point conversion from tying this score. Do you think that comes back to haunt them later in this football game?
Yeah, only time will tell. You know, you look at this season, they had to have the stars align late in the year, but boy, they set a tone early, and that was back in week 1 as they took down Fort Valley State. And what a debut for David Wright in a Clark Atlanta uniform. And then they had that big come-from-behind win. They trailed 34-14 to Division I Bethune-Cookman. Then they knocked off Tuskegee for the first time since '95. Riggins goes over the century mark. And then just last week, this championship clinching win as they went to Morehouse, a 28-17 win. And as we described in the open, Teddy Keaton's team picking up some help last week, really over the last couple of weeks. Savannah State knocked off Albany State 2 weeks ago, and then last week it was Albany State with the win against Fort Valley State, which ultimately led to them playing for a championship.
And that's why you cannot count this Clark Atlanta University team out. When they were down 23-0, you know, you can't count them out because they've been coming back and been the comeback kids throughout this season. So this just kind of fell into what they've been able to do this season as far as staying in football games, finding a way to win, and putting themselves in a position to be where they are right now, competing for a conference championship.
With the tide changing a little bit, let's see if Sam Shea goes back to that winning combination. I wouldn't be surprised to see a steady dose of Gennaro Scott in this offensive line on this drive. Scott flanking Ivory to his right. Nope, they're going to come out throwing, and over the middle, ball up in the air, and it's intercepted. Boy, a bizarre play. Abner, the tight end, looked like he had it. I think it hit his foot, went catapulting straight up into the air, and it was picked off by the freshman Carter Mason.
And this is going to be interesting. Was Abner down prior to the ball coming up in the air, or was he in the process of going down and that ball went up? And did it come out? Did it touch the ground? Did it hit another player? This is going to be interesting. You see the officials talking right now. So you see right here, that's, I don't know. There's no official replay. It's interesting. I think the officials are thinking that the ball was moving, because you see he did not have real good control of the football when the defender ripped the ball out.
And again, there is no official replay for this SIAC championship, so the call on the field will always stand, and now a flag is thrown. Looked like we had some movement up front for Clark Atlanta.
7, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Go back to that last play. It was George Tharp who stripped it from Abner, and then the freshman Mason was able to come away with it.
Ball is marked back.
And you talk about a game doing a 180. Holy smokes.
Well, what do coaches always say? Play through the whistle.
Correction, 41-yard line. First and 15, Clark Atlanta.
The best starting position of the day for the Panthers. Even after the penalty at the 41 and plus territory. Wright's feeling it. He'll loft it, looking for Young, and he can't make the one-handed grab. Tried to reel it in with his left hand just beyond his fingertips.
And that's another example of Wright understanding what the defense was giving him. He saw he had man coverage on the outside. The safety did not jump early. He knew he had an opportunity to go down the field with the vertical passing route. He just put a little bit too much on that football. But that's the intelligence of this quarterback, being able to recognize pre-snap where he can go with the football and get that big chunk play.
An air raid offense that really relies heavily on the slants and the short passing game. They haven't hit one yet, but boy, they are taking a few more chances with that deep ball than we're normally used to seeing. Tough run here by Riggins as he barrels up to the 32-yard line, setting up a third down. And keep in mind, Clark Atlanta with one of the better place kickers in Division II football, and Leonardo Cabrera.
Third down.
They go tempo for the first time. They will hand it off. Riggins gets to the outside. About 2 yards shy of the first down as he steps out at the 28. That was Ruff who tripped him up.
Nice patience by Riggins to allow the hole to develop and get it to the outside and put them in a position to possibly go for this on fourth down.
You'd be looking at a 46-yard field goal for Cabrera, well inside his range, but Keaton is going to keep the offense on the field.
Well, you got offensive momentum right now. You've been able to run the ball effectively, getting 4 and 5 yards a pop. So now you make the defense also think about the run as well as the pass.
Little under 50% on the season. Wright is flush. Back foot throw. Sideline trying to toe drag, but it falls incomplete. And the gamble does not pay off for Clark Atlanta. And the Miles defense comes up with the stop. And Wright is down as well.
And I thought they should have gone with the short crossing route, something quick, as opposed to a play that had to develop. You only needed 2 yards on that play, even if you go to quarterback draw. But you see the pressure right here on Wright. He takes a hit, gets knocked off his feet. And you see the receiver reaching, trying to keep his feet down, but also grab that football. If the ball is maybe 2 inches in, the receiver may have had an opportunity to make a great play. A good job trying to make the play for his quarterback, but that pressure made Wright get rid of the football, I think, more quickly than he wanted to, and he wasn't as precise on that throw because of that pressure in his face.
And Jermichael Rogers is having himself a first half. He was the player that put the hit on Wright. A sack, a TFL, a number of quarterback pressures from Wright. Now they go back to that ground game that we thought we would have seen on that last drive. This offensive line, this massive offensive line on that left side with Stovall and Twyman, under 5 minutes, they got to let these guys work.
Well, you've got 615 pounds of people mover on the left side of that offensive line.
Second down, they go right back to Scott, and he will pick up the first down, a gain of 4 up to the 40-yard line. Dalil Wilkins, the first-team all-conference corner, coming up to lend run support.
And you see, once again, movement at the point of attack. Number 71, Christian Twyman, doing a good job of turning that defender inside, getting those shoulders turned, and getting movement. That's what you want to do. You want to get inside hands. You want to be squatty, and you want to duck walk those guys out of the hole.
Twyman, a first-team all-conference selection, big number 71, the anchor at left tackle. He has started all 11 games this year. First down and 10, again that boundary side, and they have success. A double-digit run there for Scott as he'll take it on to plus territory, 12 yards. Again, it's Somerset and Wilkins in on the stop. There is a flag down as well.
And watch number 71, Twyman, once again, pancake block. Blocking down, getting that outside leverage.
Holding. Offense number 68. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay it down.
That is Ryan Hardman at right tackle. You look at both the guard and tackle position on the right side of the offensive line. They have had some injury issues. Phillip Jackson and Connor Howard have been rotating at guard. Keith Williams and Ryan Hardman, the two players rotating at tackle because of injuries this season.
First and 19 for
so the holding call wipes out the run, pushes them all the way back to their own 30. First and 19, now taking a shot downfield, incomplete. Somerset, the safety, coming over, not allowing Griffin to have any room to work.
And Griffin looked like he slowed down on that play. You've got to run the route and notice your quarterback is going to anticipate where you're going to be. The quarterback is not going to throw it where you are. They're going to throw you open. So Griffin should have continued on that route.
Ivory just 3 of 9 in this first half, 65 yards. Scott's been the most effective weapon, 62 yards on the ground. Second down and long, over the middle, nearly intercepted. Terrific read on the ball by Dalil Wilkins. We talked about the Ball Hawks and the Miles secondary. Wilkins is their main weapon.
Well, he played that excellent. He had inside leverage, which allowed him to attack the football. He read the quarterback's eyes, and sometimes as a defender, your eyes get really big when you see an opportunity to make a great play, a big play, and I think on that, he saw the opportunity in front of him and just didn't squeeze that football.
Wilkins leading this team with 4 interceptions this year. He's a real physical corner. One of those players that likes to play that press coverage. 3rd and a mile, 4 miles. Ivory nowhere to go, surrounded by a trio of Panthers, and he will just tiptoe his way out of bounds. And Clark Atlanta will get the football back. Plenty of time and all 3 timeouts to work.
And it seems as though when Miles went up 23-0, the Clark Atlanta University defense decided, okay, hey, we're going to wake up and start playing some football now. We're going to shut you down. And since that point, they have done a really good job of getting pressure on the quarterback, coverage on the back end, and not allowing Scott to get going with that rushing attack.
Third punt of the day for Smith. Jones and Young, the explosive return men, waiting. Smith's done a really nice job keeping it away from the dangerous duo. And this one down at the 22-yard line, a punt of 45 yards. Well, don't forget, next week, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, they will be in Dallas, AT&T Stadium, for our Week 11 Monday Night Football matchup, the Lone Star State game between C.J. Stroud and the Texans, C.D. Lamb and the Cowboys, both teams needing a win. 8 o'clock Eastern on ABC, ESPN, and ESPN Deportes with Peyton and Eli once again on ESPN2, joined by Bill Belichick and J.J. Watt. Division II, just like Division I, with that 2-minute timeout. Clark Atlanta, all 3 timeouts to use as they give the ball to Riggins, and he falls ahead. Gain of 6 up to the 28.
And they have to be extremely careful this close to their own end zone. You don't want to give up a cheap turnover right before the half. You want to try and get points on the board, but you have to be careful. 2-minute
timeout. The championship of the SIAC. Miles right now clinging to a 9-point advantage. Zubin and Dan back in the studios. They'll preview tonight's big one, Tennessee and Georgia, and then we'll mulling it over. What the College Football Committee got right, what the College Football Committee got wrong. That's all coming up with the All-State Halftime Report. The SIAC hardware on full display here in Fairfield, just outside Birmingham, and a good one. A first quarter that belonged to Miles College, a second quarter to Clark Atlanta. Firing downfield, dropping it in the breadbasket, And for the first time, they get that deep route. Jamal Jones having himself a day.
And Wright read the safety blitz and knew he had man coverage on the outside with Jones, and he immediately went to that matchup.
47 yards. They've been looking for it the entire half, and they finally connect. 6 catches for Jones, over 130 yards in this first half. Now Wright cranks, looks for Harris, throws a beauty, it's caught, but was he in bounds? No. Could not get that foot in.
And Miles College has to make a decision right now, Sean. They cannot cover these two guys on the outside in man coverage. They're going to have to shade the safeties over. But you see right here, just out of bounds. But look at that effort. And this is an example of the ball skills.
2 pretty bowls right there from David Wright III. The gunslinger showing his accuracy. 2nd down and 10. At the 25. Looking over the middle. Puts some loft on it. Dangerous throw. And it's intercepted. Miles College with their 2nd interception of the day. It is LaShawn Young. Nobody better in Division II. His 8th interception of the year.
And watch Young on this play. He's sitting back playing center field, and he watches David Wright's eyes. Wright eyeballs his receiver the entire time, and you see right there, number 24, he breaks as soon as Wright lets the ball go. And that's what the coaching staff talked about with Wright. As dynamic as he can be at times, sometimes he tries to do a little bit too much. Right here, if you're going to throw it, you've got to put zip on that football. You can't put air under it because you've got defenders back there sitting and waiting, especially LaShawn Young, the leader in interceptions. You just can't put that much air under the football when you've got those guys sitting back there.
Impact player, the true freshman out of Sweetwater High School in Alabama. Division II leading 8th interception of the year. And now let's see how aggressively Miles College will play it with the 2 timeouts.
Well, if I'm Clark Atlanta, I'm sitting back. I'm keeping everything in front of me. You cannot give up a play over the top. You don't want to give up anything vertical. You want to keep everything in between the hashes. Make Miles use their timeouts if they don't get first downs.
Inside a minute to go. Ivory just trying to sneak his way toward the marker. Looks like he will pick up the first down up to the 35-yard line. That'll stop the clock as they move the chains.
Down to the 35-yard line. First down, Miles College.
First down, 35-yard line. Now they're going to take a shot. Griffin is out there, and he makes the catch. He holds it in at the 15-yard line. It's like a heavyweight fight. Back and forth we go.
And I just don't understand man coverage. You need to go zone. Keep everything in front of you. When you go man, you give an opportunity for a big play. And you see right there, the quarterback does a good job, Ivory, staying in the pocket. He knows he's going to get hit, but he also knows he has his guy out there against the free safety. All he has to do is put enough air under the ball to allow Griffin to run under it.
Kadarius Griffin, the sophomore, this is a tremendous athlete. In the first meeting with Clark Atlanta, the Miles secondary was so depleted. They were down to their top 2 corners, so they asked Griffin to come from his wide receiver position and play corner for that particular week. And what did he do?
Pick 6. But what was interesting about that is they said, hey, we knew he could play defensive back for us because of his high school film and what we saw with him playing defensive back in high school. So that lets you know how dynamic of an athlete he is. You know, this ball is precisely thrown. But you see, Ivory knows he's going to get hit, but he stays in there just enough time, and he knows he's got Griffin against the safety, and that's a favorable matchup for him on the outside.
First down, over the middle they go, staying on his feet. It's Griffin whirling and twirling his way Down to the 1. 12 seconds to go. Miles still has a timeout, and they're going to use it here. Back-to-back catches by Kadarius Griffin. And the Golden Bears trying to finish this first half with an exclamation point.
He jogs off the line, and the quarterback does a good job of getting in the ball before defenders can get into his area, into his space. And what that does is that allows him to be a playmaker. You see him right there. Once he's able to plant and get north and south, he's hard to bring down. He bounces off of would-be tacklers. He spins. He shows you the balance. Those are all the little intangibles that you look for from your receivers. So a good job by Ivory getting the ball to him quickly and allowing him to be a playmaker.
His 2 catches on this drive have put Miles College right there and a chance to get their first points of the second quarter. Keep in mind, though, they don't have a timeout remaining. So with only 12 seconds, they go full house backfield. Ivory is going to play fake, bootleg, throw, pass, caught, touchdown. Leatherwood usually runs them in. This time, he catches one. His second touchdown of the day.
And if you're Clark Atlanta University, you have to know they're very unlikely to run the football. They're very likely going to throw the football. So you have to have coverage on those backfield offensive players going out into their routes.
Ivory with his 14th touchdown pass of the season. Now trouble on the placement. And they will not even get an opportunity for Smith to get the point after. But
Sean,
Miles
big.
will take the touchdown, and that is big.
That's big because of that safety that gave Miles the 2 extra points. So losing that point right there is big.
Your score, Miles College 29, Clark Atlanta 14.
Well, the first thing you see right here, Ivory knows he's got the coverage that he wants on the outside with Griffin against the safety. So he does a good job of staying in the pocket, looking off the safety, making sure he gets enough air under the football. And here, Leatherwood, he gets it to him, and Leatherwood just gets it across the goal line. Now, it's interesting because they don't have replay in this game. Because on that play, to me, it's kind of questionable. Did that ball cross the goal line? Because the defender did a good job of getting a hat on a hat as soon as he got possession of the football.
Number 43, Miles Jordan.
You look at the difference right now in this football game. Each of these teams smack dab tied at 222 yards of offense in this first half. But you have the special teams blunder by Clark Atlanta, and then the pick 6 for Miles College. And these 2 teams at the intermission will head to their respective locker rooms, the Panthers to get the football to start the second half. Entertaining first half from Fairfield, the 2024 edition of the SIAC Championship. Leatherwood with a couple of touchdowns. Jones has 2 for Clark Atlanta. It's Miles by 15 at the break. The heart of Birmingham, Alabama would not exist had it not been for the close proximity of 3 ingredients needed to make iron. Iron ore, limestone, and coal. This is unique only to a few places in the world. One of those places right here in Birmingham. Halftime here in Fairfield, and the SIAC Championship Game, Miles 29-14. Of course, a lot of questions once we get done with today. Will the winner of this game advance on to the Division II playoffs, which will be coming up next weekend? And the Division II format is a little bit different from what our Division I fans are accustomed to. Even the FCS, they take 28 teams for us.
And you got to love that because that gives a lot of people the opportunity to compete for a championship. And we did this game last year, the SIAC Championship, and Benedict won that game and got to the playoffs. So the expectation is for the winner of this game to definitely get one of those bids to play for a national title.
So you take those 28 teams, you break it across 4 geographical super regions, 7 teams drawn. The unique part about it, even though that you might win a conference championship, there's no automatic qualifiers. So where does Miles sit currently entering this championship weekend? Well, they're part of Region 2. They're sitting with that record of 8-1. Everybody chasing a very good Valdosta State team. And like you mentioned, with Benedict winning last year and then advancing into the playoffs, a Miles College win should bring them a Division II berth, you would think.
Absolutely, but if Miles finds a way to lose this football game, I think they very likely will be left out of the playoffs, because when you look at all of the other teams in the super region, you've got Wingate at 8-1, West Alabama 8-1, Carson Newman 8-1, Lenore Ryan 8-2. So and these teams are all ranked ahead of Miles. So I think they have to win this football game to guarantee themselves a position to play and compete for a title.
Of course, all roads then for Division II lead to McKinney, Texas. Harding, the defending national champ. They beat Colorado School of Mines last year for the D2 title. And here's the playoff resume for Miles College. The 8-0 record. Keep in mind, 8 straight wins. They started the year with back-to-back losses. They're 3-1 against teams above 500, and they have just the one ranked opponent.
And I think what helps Miles College is those 8 straight wins. A lot of times when they are picking the teams, it's what have you done for me lately? And when you look at this Miles team, all they've done the last 2 months is win every single football game that they have played, and they've run through the conference having that undefeated record. So I think that bodes well for this team as well.
Their 2 losses to begin the year at West Alabama, 16-15, and then they lost to Alabama State. Ironically, a team they beat last year that Sam Shade thought was a starting point for this program to really take off. We'll see if they can first off take care of business today and then let the chips fall where they might fall into as far as those Division II playoffs. Work to do, and they want that conference championship. Miles by 15. We'll take a look at some of the highlights when we return to Fairfield. And welcome back to Allstate Way from starting the third quarter. Teddy Keaton and his Panthers from Clark, Atlanta, with some work to do, and force, man, they fell behind the 8 ball right out of the gate. They spot 23 for Miles College as this defense set the tone early.
Well, it started early with Green getting a big hit on the quarterback right, and Hardy, Johnny on the spot, grabbing the ball out the air and sprinting for the touchdown. And then the flea flicker, the jet sweep action, the pitch back on the dive, and he knew he had the coverage he wanted on the outside to get the ball down the field. And then you give it to your big back to let him get it across the goal line, and they go up 2 scores. Then you have Clark Atlanta University getting the ball to their playmaker, Jamal Jones. He's angry, he's motivated, he's frustrated. He felt snubbed on the all-conference team, and he's done his thing to the tune of 6 catches for 145 yards. Just when you thought the scoring was over, you see the quarterback see his guy Griffin on the outside. A good job by Ivory standing tall in the pocket. And here, I did not think this was a touchdown. I thought the defender got to him before he got the ball across the plane, but they're able to get the score and go up 29-14.
Javante Leatherwood, a couple of touchdowns in the first half for Miles College. Clark Atlanta gets the 2 scores from Jones. You see the yardage doesn't get more even than that. 222 apiece. The turnovers, a 2-1 advantage there for the Miles College defense. You take a look at Teddy Keaton, year 1, the job that he has done. And this is a young man that he knew wanted to be a college coach back in the 7th grade, and he paid his dues. Started back in the days, he was a college baseball player, actually never played college football, and then eventually he got into the coaching ranks. And you take a look at his path to Atlanta, hired back on November 27th after he had spent time at all of these locations. Stillman is where he had really grew into the culture of being the CEO of a program. He was the running back coach, ironically, at Miles for a couple of seasons. Really turned around the Allen program, guided them to a 7-3 mark a year ago. The opportunity to come to Clark Atlanta, a dream come true, as he told us, and obviously a move that was made by the administration with Clark Atlanta, and that's a move that's looking pretty good right now.
Well, he has definitely come in and rebuilt this program. He said there were some bad seeds he needed to get out of the program, some guys that were starters, some guys that moved up division to play football, and guys that just transferred out. But he brought his Gucci luggage. You know, Gucci, Louis, whatever you want to call it. He brought his luggage, and you see the outcome with these two big playmakers on the outside and his Conference Player of the Year once again, and that lets you know how special Wright is as a player when you can win Conference Player of the Year, not only at one program but two different programs. That lets you know his ability to play the position of quarterback. And
he talked about, he kind of joked with us. I said, so how did this opportunity present itself? What made you want to go into coaching? And he just chuckled and said, you could describe my story as the path less traveled. From equipment manager to now guiding this Clark Atlanta program to what could be a record-setting season for the Panthers. You see David Wright III's numbers in the first half. A lot of that damage coming in the second quarter. They open up from the 25 and not much there. So for us, let's talk adjustments, starting with this Panther offense who gained a little traction.
Early, but I think they need to protect the quarterback a little bit more. Get the ball to your playmakers. Continue to get the ball to Jones. If they're going to continue to play him man on the outside and play some of the zero coverage that we've seen, if the safety is not deep enough, I'm continuing to go to Jones over the top until I make that defense make an adjustment.
Defensive coordinator Chris Schelling in this Golden Bears secondary. We'll see what adjustments they make. They want to bring the blitz here, and that means one-on-one coverage, and that means Harris is running free. Harris puts on the brakes, still on his feet, finally lassoed down at the 21-yard line.
And David Wright continues to do an excellent job of seeing man coverage on the outside. If you look at the safeties are coming up in the box. They're looking for those crossing routes. But as they come up in the box, you continue to have these receivers on the outside. They have shown that they're going to win the one-on-one matchup off the line of scrimmage. If you're going to play press man, you've got to get contact. You can't give free releases to these receivers.
41 yards, and now they swing it out to Young, and a good open field tackle is made as they go inside the red zone. That was Josh Ruff, the former wide receiver turned corner.
And a good job by the defense to immediately get up there. Harris has to do a better job of covering up that defender. You don't necessarily have to get a knockout block, but get in front of that defender. Don't allow him to get to the ball carrier.
Ruff made the move from receiver to corner after the bye week, following the first couple of games this year. A natural athlete, and he has played well for this Golden Bears secondary. Wright hit as he throws, dangerous throw, and it's picked off. His third interception today, and a wave of Golden Bears. Down the side they go, and this Miles defense does it again. Picked off by Jeremiah Hudson-Davis.
And that is the second time that Wright has eyeballed his receiver. You continue to see Wright on these interceptions. He's eyeballing his receiver, and the defense is just sitting back, and they're reading the quarterback's eyes. You see right there, the defender knows he can undercut that route because he has safety help over the top. They've got the receiver bracketed. So a good job on the coverage. And you see LaShawn Young sitting back there, number 24, the center fielder. So that is a good job defensively, knowing where your teammate is and knowing you can undercut that pass.
This is what Miles does coming in, 25 takeaways, and now complimentary football on the quick slant up to the 11-yard line.
And that should be a horse collar tackle. And they should have gotten additional yards on the penalty on that play. The officials let that go. You saw some of the crowd jump up screaming for the horse collar tackle as well. You cannot grab inside the collar in the back of the shoulder pads and pull a player down. That's for player safety.
24 yards to Fells, the team's top receiver this year, his first catch of the day, and now they go to the ground game. Teddy Keaton, just a few moments ago, a heated conversation with his guy, David Wright, and the relationship between these two so tight, so you can see the emotion, and Keaton feels he can really open up, be honest with his quarterback, and he was not happy with that last decision.
Well, the one thing Coach Keaton talked about is Wright sometimes tries to do too much as opposed to just taking what the defense gives him.
Second down give, diving for the pylon. Did he get in? Yes, he did. Touchdown, Gennaro Scott. And a little Fairfield, Alabama leap into the stands here.
And what we're looking at is a 14-point turnaround. When you look at both of the interceptions, the one that was in the end zone and the one we just saw as they were driving to basically looking like they were getting ready to put another score on the board. That's the dangers of turning the ball over when you're driving the football. You got to just take what the defense gives you and not try to force it.
Points after turnovers, and Miles College strikes, all set up by the interception from Jeremiah Hudson-Davis. Scott all fired up. Golden Bears with their largest lead. Gennaro Scott with the touchdown run after David Wright threw his third interception. Green Bay has the Lambeau leap. Well, here in Fairfield, they go right up into the cement blocks, but keep an eye as he comes back down. Oh, no, Forrest. You can't have that happen.
The attack of the right hammy.
That has been the only thing to slow down Gennaro Scott today. So he was on that trainer's table the entire break. Scott with the touchdown run, and really for the second time this afternoon, Clark Atlanta right back on the ropes.
And for Clark Atlanta University, you know you can move the football. Wright just has to protect the ball a little bit more. I think he needs to go back to the quick pass game. When you go to the pass game where the play has to develop, that's when he's gotten into trouble because he's been eyeballing these receivers. So I think if it's not the quick vertical route or the quick crossing routes, he needs to stay away from trying to go down the field right now.
5 interceptions last week for Wright in the win at Morehouse. 3 interceptions today.
And the coaching staff talked about that. He had 17 interceptions last season, so he was doing a lot better until last week. And he spent a lot of time in the coach's office this week. They said it was 45 minutes early to every meeting, every practice, studying film, trying to make sure he didn't come out in this game and have some of the same errors in judgment that he had last week. And the coaching staff talked about the rivalry game and getting caught up in that, and that's why he had a lot of those picks. But you see some of that hangover in this football game now.
He was the first player to follow his coach once it was announced that Teddy Keaton was coming to Clark Atlanta. David Wright was right there following his head coach. The relationship those two have. Second down and 9, zipping it high, and it's picked off the deflection right through the fingertips of the receiver. And now Miles College very close to maybe throwing the knockout punch. Hudson Davis, back-to-back interceptions.
And Wright put a lot on that football, but that's still a ball that Jones should be able to squeeze and catch. You've got to help your quarterback. You're not going to get perfect throws all the time. But I thought he could have caught and should have caught that football. That is not on Wright. I'm not going to put that on Wright. I think the receiver, as great as Jamal Jones has been this afternoon, that was not an effort, a positive effort, I should say. That's something he should have been able to squeeze that football and bring it to his body. You've got to help your quarterback. Of course, in the perfect world, you get perfect throws thrown right into your chest.
Miles College from the 33, and this will be Ivory keeping it over that left side as he dances his way. Good surge. That's the side of the offensive line they love to run behind. 8 yards on first down.
And psychologically, it has to start to have an effect on David Wright. When you look at the interceptions last week, you look at the interceptions this week, and on the defense as well, because they continue to have to come back on the football field because the offense is not, keeping the ball.
And how about Jeremiah Hudson-Davis? A couple of interceptions in this quarter. They wanted the double move, and now on the run, low throw, and unable to dig it out was Pierre, setting up a 3rd and short. But real quickly for us, going back to Jeremiah Hudson-Davis, he just returned to the lineup last week. He played with a club on his hand last week. He had that taken off. Underwent hand surgery here a few weeks back, missed 3 weeks, a tough customer. These two safeties wreaking havoc once again today.
Well, he was leading the conference in tackles when he went out with that injury. So that lets you know how dynamic he is on the back end of that defense and what he meant to them being back there and being the playmaker that he is.
Keep an eye on number 7, Fells. He's the slot at the bottom. They're going to run to the right side, and Fells is going to be a blocker here for Scott, who tumbles his way down to first down yardage. Up to the 12. I'd say that hamstring's feeling just all right.
An excellent job by the receivers on the outside. Watch the receivers blocking out in space. This is why he's able to do the things he's able to do. You see all those purple jerseys, those black jerseys? That is what you're looking for. Stalk, get up on those defensive backs. You don't have to run out there, full speed. You want to stalk those guys because you want to cover them up. You don't have to have a knockout block, but you want to be in a position in between the defender and the ball carrier.
Fells and Pierre, the two receivers doing that stalking you were talking about. First down on the slant, right on the button, caught, and it will be 1st and goal. See the two players still tussling for the football there, but going to end up with Andrews, and all this for naught.
It's 3 potential outcomes, either short of the goal line, a touchdown, or an incomplete pass.
Side judge came in, he signaled initially it was a catch, as you see a fray, and now the officials are going to come together, and I believe they're going to say incomplete.
He didn't control possession of the football as he went down to the ground. You've got to control that football. See, they go at the quick slant. See right there, the ball, because he did not finish the catch, that's why they call it an incomplete pass.
And again, with this Division II championship game, we have no official replay upstairs. So everything on the field, what gets called, sticks. 2nd down after the incompletion. Ivory looks right, spins it that way, and it's incomplete. And now watch out. Trouble here as Scott got tied up, I believe, with Curtis Way, and emotions are now flaring at a real high pitch. Way, the defensive end, Scott, the running back, and this might be trouble for Gennaro Scott.
Yeah, unnecessary by Scott. You don't rip a player's helmet off. I don't care how mad you are, you've got to control your emotion. I don't think there was anything dirty by the defender on that play. He just hit your quarterback. You can not like it, but you can't react to that. You're trying to win a championship. You're driving the ball down the field. You've got the defense on their heels, and now you're going to put your team and hurt your team with poor decision-making.
So the officials with a lot to sort out here. And again, it involved Miles College top running back in Gennaro Scott as he went after Curtis Way, the defender for Clark Atlanta. Looked like he ripped his helmet right off after a couple of shoves, and you see Scott, who's played a whale of a game. 15 carries, 85 yards, the 2 touchdowns, but let's see what his fate has in store here, as we're about to hear from our referee and Troy Singleton.
You've got to have better self-control.
The result of the play is an incomplete pass. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 6 hits first. Unsportsmanlike conduct, flagrant, Miles number 3 has been disqualified from the game. Those unsportsmanlike offset, stirred down.
No surprise up here in the booth. We both saw it, and anytime you go after that helmet like Scott did, as you take another look, this is all post-whistle. And the helmet had already been ripped off by Scott, and that was the egregious part that happened right in front of the officials. Really an easy call.
And you just cannot do that. You've got to control your emotions. You've got to realize it's not about you. It's not about your personal feelings. It's about your team. It's about your university. It's about winning a championship and putting yourselves in a position to possibly compete for a national championship. So, you know, he's got to make better decisions, and he'll learn from this. You know, he's a emotional player, and you see right there, he knows that he made a bad decision, so I'm not going to beat the kid up too much. There's a lot of emotion in a football game, especially when you're chasing a championship.
Well, the good news for Miles College, they have depth at running back. They'll take a shot back corner of the end zone, and it's incomplete. Trying to thread the needle to Pierre. And a good stop by Clark Atlanta as they dig in their heels and will force the field goal attempt.
You see right here, that's a ball that should have been caught. Frank Pierre, I don't know if he lost the ball in the sunlight, but the ball looked like it went through his hands. You see him a little bit upset. You see his teammates, Cameron Ivory, over there patting him on the head because that's a play that they both feel like they should have had.
30-yard field goal for Roderick Smith, who's 6 of 13 this season. Placement down, kick is on the way, and it is good. Points after turnovers, the theme today for Miles College. Jeremiah Hudson-Davis, his second interception of the quarter. That sets up the field goal. Miles extends the
bracket Sunday B. I would not want to be on that committee right now. I mean, Georgia fans are in an uproar right now, and we're not even to the end of this thing. And you've got some big games ahead with Georgia Tech, with Tennessee tonight. I mean.
So what's the craziest scenario? That's what the fans like. When
the craziest scenario to me is a 3-loss team getting into playoffs.
All right,
I don't care what conference you're in. If you've got 3 losses, I'm sorry, you should not be in the playoffs.
And the reality is that could very easily happen.
Very well could happen. And it would, and if it did, it would be, I think, with SEC team, because those are the teams where you've got teams that are highly ranked that have 2 losses.
And then you look at the group of 5, Boise State in there now, but also keep an eye on both Army and Tulane, the other 2 ranked teams in the top 25.
And then also with the ACC, you know, if Boise continues to be undefeated, will they be ranked higher than the ACC champion and get that automatic berth?
Which would pump that ACC champion down into playing in the early rounds.
Absolutely. So it's just a whole lot to dissect. And like I said, Sean, I would not want to be on that committee because no matter how right they get it, it's going to be wrong.
Which makes it great.
Absolutely. You know, we thought, okay, we're going to go from 4 teams to 12. Yeah. That's going to solve all the problems. No, that has not occurred so far.
So much excitement around the expanded playoffs in the final few weeks. Second down throw. They will look for Harris, and he was all tied up. And here comes the flag. Josh Ruff getting a piece of that jersey. So you look at this game. Miles jumps out to a 23-0 lead. Then Clark Atlanta storms right back in the second quarter. They cut it down to 9. They're marching to make it a 1-score game.
Pass interference, defense, number 3, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Wright throws that late interception. Miles makes him pay with the late touchdown to close out the first half. Clark's on the move again to begin the third quarter, another interception.
That's the difference. The difference, the guy that got you here is the guy that has put you in a position to be behind as much as you are. As great as David Wright is as a quarterback, some of the things that he's done in the last 2 games have been kind of head-scratching plays, because he knows he's a guy that understands and can recognize defenses and knows where to go with the football, but he's just been careless at times.
Pressure comes and he pays the price. Dumped back at the 43-yard line. That is Keith Green. This is a great story with Green. Tore his ACL last spring playing high school basketball. They thought he was going to be out for the entire year. He just missed the first 3 games, able to come back and be an immediate contributor.
Well, he's a quick healer. He gets immediate pressure. You saw in that play they brought the late blitz, but it was still 5-on-5. So Clark Atlanta's offensive line should have been able to pick that up. The center has to identify the Mike linebacker, which gives everybody their assignments and allows for the uncovered guy to know where he needs to be if the pressure comes from the blitz package.
A low strike and a catch, a diving catch by Armand Harris, and you saw some of that arm strength by Wright on the move. Put some velocity behind this one.
And Wright does a good job of staying in the pocket. He scrambles to the outside, allows for his receiver to find an open space, and he gets the ball to him where only his receiver can make a play on that football. A good job by Harris getting his hands under the ball, not allowing it to touch the turf.
Empty set, 3 receivers right, 2 to the left. Miles will rush 6. They hit him. Ball up in the air, lofting toward the front of the end zone, incomplete. And again, this rush continues to punish David Wright, who is still on his back.
And they brought more than they could block. They brought 6. Wright couldn't step into that throw. He was wide open trying to put something on the throw, getting it down the field, which left him wide open for the defense to get a good shot on his midsection. And one thing a quarterback does not like to see is the front of his offensive lineman's jersey. And when you look at that play, Wright is looking at the front of Harrison's jersey. He's looking at the front of Bueller's jersey. He's looking at the front of Sharif's jersey. They've got to do a better job of staying in front of these defenders. You've got to protect your guy. There are opportunities to go down the field like Wright had on that play, but you've got to give him the time to allow the play to develop.
You see Heath Williams Jr., he is the backup, getting some final instruction from offensive coordinator Marvin Cunningham. Good news is Wright was able to walk off the field on his own power. So Williams, the graduate out of Clarksville, Tennessee State transfer.
And I expect him to bring the house right now. You've got a new quarterback in, put immediate pressure on him.
Has only attempted 2 passes this year. This is his 3rd of the season, and it might be 6th. Did a toe get in? No, they say. Out of bounds. Boy, beautifully thrown ball to Virgil Young.
I just told you. Before the goddamn play. Listen to me. Shit.
David Wright back in after 1 play off.
This was close. No, he was out of bounds. Good call by the official right there.
Right foot right there.
Oh, nice catch by Virgil Young.
Chris Schelling, the All-American back in his days at Auburn, went on to the NFL, played for both the Bengals and the Falcons. He was a teammate of Sam Shade with Cincinnati. 3rd down and 10. Wright avoids 1 again. He is absolutely destroyed. But how about the poise under fire, throwing a strike to Tolliver? And for the 2nd time, Wright is down. Giovanni Williams hit him.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, late hit on the quarterback. And you see what Miles is doing. They're playing cover 3. They're keeping everything in front of them, and they're trying to get pressure on the quarterback. A good job by Wright locating his receiver, and a good job by Tolliver coming back to the football. But you see Wright right here scrambling. And because number 56, Giovanni Williams, put his whole body into Wright and came down on him. They had to make that call. It's okay to get a hit on the quarterback as he releases the football, but what they want you to do is lay off. He put all of his body weight on Wright, came crashing down on him, and they made the right call.
Boy, one thing you cannot question with David Wright is his toughness.
Absolutely.
Tough as nails. He has taken and absorbed some real shots in this one, yet he gets back in there.
Now, this is where it's been dangerous for Wright when they get close inside the red zone. This is when he's had a couple of mistakes this afternoon. Can he right those wrongs on this drive?
First down just outside the 10. David Wright off his back foot. Lobs it. Dangerous throw, and it's incomplete. Man, looked like initially he was just trying to throw it away, but that ball hovered in the back of the end zone where there were nothing but Golden Bears waiting for it to come down.
And I don't like the play call. Your quarterback has been getting beat up, hit very often. The majority of the time he's dropped back to throw the football in the second half, he's been getting hit and knocked down. He's had to come out the game because of those hits. And you put him in a position now again where it's a prolonged play. Quick pass game. Get the ball to these playmakers and allow them to be special. They're playing man coverage. You have opportunities on the outside.
Marvin Cunningham, first-year offensive coordinator, on second down. They will hand the ball off, and yards after contact for Jamal Jones as he bangs off would-be defenders, setting up a third down.
And he got popped on that play. I saw a mouthpiece go about 10 yards back towards the offense.
Oh, they're bringing it this
sir.
afternoon. They are bringing it.
Remember the old commercial, click, clack?
Yes.
That is what we have seen throughout this afternoon. I've seen at least 5 decleters this afternoon.
Chris Schelling had a few of those decleters back in his day watching him play.
Absolutely.
Third down and 6 as we approach 5.5 minutes to go in this third quarter. Wright will throw, and it's intercepted in the front of the end zone by Josh Ruff. The 5th takeaway today for Miles College.
And Wright, once again, inside the red zone is where he's had his biggest issues, because the safeties don't have to drop back as deep because they know how far and where he can go at the football, so they're playing bracket coverage. You've got a safety over the top, you've got a cornerback underneath, so they can jump those routes. And you see, once again, Wright eyeballing his receiver the entire time. Just a poor decision once again by Wright. If you're going to do anything, you want to put that ball at the back of the end zone. And Wright knows it as soon as he looks up.
For Josh Ruff, and it is his first career interception. And that look says it all right now for Teddy Keaton.
Ball will be marked at the 1-yard line. First down, Miles College.
A defense coming into today near the top in all of Division II with takeaways. 25 takeaways this year. They have added 5 more in this championship game.
I agree with the quarterback keeper.
And I thought Wright had an opportunity with the bunch formation on the right side to go to one of his receivers, but he predetermined where he was going to go with that football, and that allowed the defense to make a play on the ball.
One of those experienced offensive linemen that we have talked about throughout the course of this broadcast being attended to. So an injury timeout here from Fairfield. That's Fred Samuel getting looked at. Thrilling come from behind win late last Saturday against Utah. Fred Samuel, the center, the injured Golden Bear, being attended to as Miles College trying to get a little bit of breathing room. This is Roderick Thomas. Keep in mind their top tailback, Gennaro Scott, was kicked out of this football game on their last offensive series, so they're going to rely on Guys like Thomas, Jamari Risley, Javante Leatherwood, and Edward Osley to try to bring this one home.
And if you're Miles College, you just want to continue to try and get yards and look to give your punter room. If you get the first down, that's great, but you've got to hold the ball high and tight. You've got to understand Clark Atlanta is going to be pulling and trying to rip and punch that ball out, but protect the football and allow your punter to punt.
Third down, high throw as it sailed on Ivory, and a dangerous throw as Dalil Wilkins was in the vicinity. So a 3 and out. Smith on the punt. And Clark Atlanta in this offense should get the ball in pretty good shape following the 5th interception thrown by their star quarterback, David Wright.
So in the last 2 ball games, David Wright has 10 interceptions. Coming into the game last week, he only had 7 total interceptions.
They talked about as they come after the punt, and they are going to get there for the second straight week. Special teams comes away with the block punt. Jalon Howard off the edge, the junior, and he had a whole bunch of help as well.
Well, when you look at the Miles players, nobody blocked anybody on the left side of the formation. You can't just give a free release. You've got to get a hat on a hat. Slow them down. Don't just give free releases to the punter.
With 4:05 left.
Let's see who's bringing the flavor today. Brought to you by McDonald's. You come here to Fairfield, you get to enjoy the atmosphere, especially when it's a championship game. Keep in mind, this was a change for the SIAC. Normally played on a neutral site. They made the decision to allow the top-seeded team, the team that earned it during the regular season, the opportunity to host. And these fans have showed up today. Some of the flavors of the game today. Forrest, I'm going to say it. You look at the scoreboard, it just feels like Miles College is in control, but yet there is a ton of time, and you have one of the most explosive quick strike offenses trailing.
Well, the thing that's scary right now is, as much of a veteran as David Wright is at this point in his career, the knowledge that he has, I don't care who you are. When you've thrown 5 interceptions 2 weeks in a row, psychologically, it has some effect on you. So I'm interested to see what he does on this drive. Is he a little bit more careful with the football in his decision-making?
Jamal Jones with the return off the free kick, and Jones takes it to the Miles 39. 28 yards for Jones, and David Wright ready to go back to work. And let's see if he can get back dialed in mentally to the All-Conference Player of the Year for the second straight season that he was recognized with yesterday.
And you have to understand, when you're the best defense in the conference and you get to play against the Conference Player of the Year and he's a quarterback, that's an opportunity for you to show and prove that you are who everyone thought you were.
Right. Dodging missiles right out of the gate. Now he's going to rely on his feet, and he'll pick up positive yards, a run of 11. Good job there by David Wright to feel the pressure and take off.
And a good job by Wright. He saw all the defenders had their backs turned. He saw an opportunity to get down the field. I think he needs to hold that ball a little bit more secure, keep it high and tight as opposed to having the ball hanging out like that. But a good job and a good decision by Wright to get as many yards as he could and get down and not take unnecessary contact.
Checks down to Virgil Young, who makes the catch. Minimal gain up to the 25. First-year transfer, Virgil Young, coming over from Lane College. We talked about all the Allen University transfers that Keaton brought. He's also hit the transfer portal from some of the other colleges, and Young was one of those players.
You know, it's interesting, Sean, when you mentioned the portal. Coach Keaton said, you know, the portal has allowed for Division II and Division III programs to really find, you know, top-notch talent in high school, because there are not a lot of scholarships being given to high school players because of the portal and colleges being able to go and get a guy that they know can play at that level and be successful because they've already shown that. So it's allowed Division II programs to go to some of these high schools and get some of this top-tier talent.
Especially around these parts where there is a lot of exceptional high school football. Don't forget, Tuesday we'll have the exclusive reveal of the next college football playoff top 25 rankings. Reese and the guys breaking it all down from top to bottom. They'll have coaches' reactions as well as a live interview with the committee chairman, Mr. Manuel, the Michigan athletic director. We'll also project the 12-team field. It's all starting 7 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. So after the injury timeout, second down and flinging it again. Jump ball in the end zone. Tip drill ended up with Miles, but the defender was out of bounds.
Dangerous throw once again. You see Wright, he's kind of limping right now. And that's what the defender's taught to do. You try and tip it to your teammate. That is an interception. They can't review it, but that looks like an interception.
What a heads-up play made there by Antonio Reeves. As you mentioned for us, you saw Reeves just try to literally tip it to his teammate. Now, like you said, you got to make sure there's no opponent in the vicinity when you do that. So we go back to action and a throw and strike. Armand Harris with another catch. His 7th catch of the day. Tackled by LaShawn Young.
First down, Clark Atlanta.
Well, if you're Clark Atlanta, you've been down this road before. Inside the red zone. It has not been your ally this afternoon. First and goal from the 12. Back shoulder throw, but just no window to work. Good coverage. Cam Williams. What would you like to see here if you're Marvin Cunningham?
I'd like to see short crossing routes. I think maybe shuffle pass, something we haven't seen this afternoon. You've got a penetrating, pin your ears back defense coming after this quarterback. We know the quarterback has got a little hitch in the giddy right now, so they're challenging him to see if he can get outside the pocket.
Quick throw out of the backfield and a drop. That was Kanan Johnson, his first target today, and one of those instances where you're excited, you take your eyes off the football, and you want to get going upfield.
And a great opportunity because Johnson had space on the outside if he would have been able to possess that football. But you've got to squeeze the ball and get the reception first before you can make a play with it.
They do not throw the ball to their tight ends a lot. Johnson with just 3 receptions. His backup, Andrew Banks, a former quarterback who converted to the tight end position.
And that drop might be the reason why they don't throw to the tight end very often.
Bunch set to the top of the screen. That's the direction they go. That short route that you were dialing up. And stepping out of bounds as they hit Ronnie West. And this will set up a 4th down. West stepping out just as he was getting ready to make some moves.
And what I like about this play, Wright went through his progressions. He didn't see what he liked initially in the middle of the field. He looked to the corner of the end zone and did not see what he liked, and was able to get the ball out to West to put them in a position to try and convert on a 4th down.
Down 23, they will keep the offense out there. Riggins, the running back, to the left of Wright. Now Miles College wants to talk it over, and they're going to use a timeout.
4 shorts, timeout, Miles College, 30-second timeout.
Here's our College Football Award Spotlight, brought to you by
being undefeated and vying to play in the college football playoffs.
So 4th down and a yard. Again, keep in mind they can pick up a 1st down. They don't need a touchdown here. Wright will try to pick and choose and try to find a little bit of a lane. And you have literally 20 bodies standing him up in the center of the field. And now a flag comes in really late. Boy, he ran into a pile of humanity, and I don't know if forward progress got him there.
David Wright was the quarterback keeper.
You had 10 Golden Bears and 10 Panthers in the center of the field there by that purple goal line. There's an injured defender, and then post-whistle, a flag thrown in. You know, and it's just at that awkward enough angle where it's tough to get a real bearing to see if they're going to give him a good spot. This might be our best vantage point.
And it looked like he may have had enough to get the first down.
Result of the play, short order, line the game, turnover on down. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 72. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed. That's his first unsportsmanlike conduct of the game.
So it's Derek McIntosh, the right guard, with the unsportsmanlike conduct. And Teddy Keaton in this offense, they are just flat out going to have nightmares about their red zone trips today.
And what hurts about that penalty is, even though it was going to be a turnover on downs, the ball was going to be inside the 5-yard line, which takes away from some of the offensive play calling because the coaching staff is going to be a little bit more careful. Now you're out the shadow of your goal line, and I think that opens up the playbook for Miles.
3 trips into the red zone this third quarter for Clark Atlanta. Nothing to show for it. 2 interceptions and now a failed 4th down.
And the thing about that, Miles has converted both of those interceptions into touchdowns.
First down, throw and catch. Gain of 4 yards up to the 21. We approach the 1-minute mark in this third quarter. Sam Shade, Miles trying to throw that knockout punch here on their home turf.
And if you're Miles, you're not in any rush right now. Take your time. You want to allow the clock to run. You have no pressure to score.
Continuing to use all of this play clock. Cam Ivory, the orchestrator of this offense, will hand it off. Running in that A gap and then keeping those legs churning to the 25. Miles College will not have to take another snap if they don't want to. They can let this third quarter clock wind down. Leatherwood, the ball carrier, he has a couple of touchdowns today.
A gain of 4.
One of those days if you're Clark Atlanta.
3rd and 2.
A rematch from a game with these two less than a month ago. And on this particular Saturday, round 2 right now swinging toward Miles. The pursuit of the hardware for the SIAC, 15 minutes away for Miles College. Can they put the finishing touches on Clark Atlanta on a gorgeous day from Alabama? Each week we always slow down to recognize all the wonderful college sports communicators out there with Appreciation Week. Justin Mordecai with Clark Atlanta University, their SID, always providing on a weekly basis valuable resource information as we tell the stories each and every weekend. And then A.A. Moore with Miles College. This is a busy man for us. Last night he was on the radio as the play-by-play voice of a local high school playoff game, and then during the week he's an attorney here in town.
Busy, 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 busy.
And he was busy today. He was organizing everything from media to the catering and all of that as an overflow press box. All the interest here in Central Alabama keyed in on Miles College, and they are 15 minutes away from an SIAC championship.
And I must say, I've been impressed with the facilities and with the hospitality of the Miles College fan base and staff.
And I know you would echo this sentiment. We want to thank all those SIDs across the country.
Absolutely.
Unsung heroes in the industry.
The information that they provide prior to kickoff is invaluable.
Smith on the punt. in does a nice job of keeping the kick away from Jamal Jones, who is one of the top return men in the country, has taken 3 touchbacks or 3 touchdowns to the house this year. Smith doing a good job keeping it away from him. It's time now for our player check-in presented by Allstate. And how about we check in with this secondary for Miles College and Jeremiah Hudson-Davis.
Well, Hudson-Davis was out with a broken hand. He missed 3 games, and he came back last week and then, made a couple of plays. But this week, he's been Johnny on the spot. He's done a good job in coverage. He's done a good job of being in the right place to make plays for his defense on the back end.
5 takeaways for this secondary today. First down, passes caught up to the 48-yard line goes Harris, corralled by Matthew Yafondo.
Stop by number 50.
You take a look at the numbers. Harris with 8 catches for 132 yards. Jones 6 catches for 145 yards. So the 2 weapons getting their touches. Throwing against the grain, passes caught again. This time it's Jones, and just like that, they're up to the 33-yard line. So the middle of the field has been no problem for Clark Atlanta. It's the red zone tricks.
Well, a good job, first off, Denzel Moore, number 74, staying on top of his block, giving Wright the time he needed to get to the outside and find his receiver Jones down the field. You have to maintain those blocks. 74 has had some difficulty this afternoon with those rush ins, but a great job on that play.
Bring the linebackers on a blitz. Wright is going to tuck and run, and he will have some room, some real estate over the near side. Steps out of bounds at the 21. 13 more yards for David Wright.
Good decision by Wright on that play. He had pressure from the right side. The right guard and right tackle both missed and whiffed on those spin moves by the defenders. Wright was able to get to the outside. He saw the defenders with their heads down the field, looking the other way, covering those receivers in man coverage, and he was able to get positive yards and get them a first down.
You talk about this offensive line and with the air raid system, not a lot of experience on this front line. You have Austin Euler at left tackle, who's played the most football. You have a young man at right tackle in Denzel Moore, who has been one of their surprises as he made the switch from defense over to offense at the start of this year. And take a look at the size.
5'11". So when you're small like that on the offensive line and you've got a shorter quarterback, you've got to try and create lanes for him to get the ball down the field.
Talk more about that in a moment. Near sideline and keeping the feet in, Armand Harris. So let's go back to creating angles. How do you do that as an offensive lineman when you have a shorter quarterback?
Well, first and foremost, you've got to use your lack of height to your advantage. You have natural leverage as an offensive lineman when you're shorter like that. Now, the deterrent from that is when you're a shorter lineman, you don't have as long arms. So you've got to get inside hands. You've got to get inside hands. You've got to be the low man. And you've got, once again, to sit in your hips. And you've got to duck walk. And when I say duck walk, that means you've got to get your feet pointed, outside and duck walk those guys up out of there. Meaning you roll your hips up on those defenders.
Third down. That line gives Wright a window that time, and he is right on the button with the throw. Harris with the catch, and it will be first and goal for the Panthers. 11.5 minutes to go in this fourth quarter. They've had a little late season magic to get into this championship game. Do they have enough left in the tank to pull off another miracle late in this fourth quarter? First and goal, David Wright feeling the heat. And this time he'll just throw it away, and now a flag is thrown.
I think you may get holding on the outside. Delancey Tolliver, number 7.
Offense, number 7. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So that's the slot Tolliver, who normally plays in one of the outside receiver positions, but with the injury to David Martin, they've been forced to slide Tolliver inside.
18-yard line. First and goal.
Out and right, get out of that. Spun right through the arms of Dowdell. Now right inside the 10, and he high steps out of bounds. Rock Dowdell does not miss too many of those.
And the issue for Wright is they're getting pressure with 4 pass rushers, so there's 7 defenders back in coverage. There's nowhere for him to go at the football. Good decision by Wright once he was able to break away from contain to get the ball down the field, get as many positive yards, and get out of bounds prior to taking unnecessary contact from the defense.
Even with the sacks today, Wright has been the most effective runner for this offense. And Marvin Cunningham, 2nd down and goal. Play fake, had a defender in his face, and he throws the touchdown. Oh, what a throw by David Wright, who is down on both knees again, paying the price. Wasson Davis with the touchdown grab.
And I want to say this about David Wright. He may have thrown 5 interceptions today, but this is one of the toughest kids that I've ever seen play the quarterback position. When you look at the type of hits that he's taken this afternoon,
Miles College wanted to put heat on him all day, and they have punished the star quarterback for Clark Atlanta.
and he keeps getting up, but he stands tall in the pocket. You see right here scrambling outside. He takes a knockout punch right there. He knows he's going to get hit. They rip at his jersey. He gets hit again, and when he's getting hit, his body is wide open. His midsection right there, another hit. They're coming down on him. You see right here the play action pass game, wide open once again, and they drive him into the turf. And we didn't even see the play where they got their unsportsmanlike conduct driving him into the turf earlier in the 3rd quarter.
You saw all those hits. Keep in mind, he's 5'10", 175 pounds. But he just keeps popping up. A touchdown throw to Davis.
And this is an interesting decision right here. Do you kick it or do you go for 2?
For Davis, just his 2nd catch of the year. It's his 1st touchdown for the senior from Columbus, Georgia.
The 6-yard touchdown pass to number 44, Wasson Davis Jr.
Clark Atlanta will send out Cabrera.
Number 93, Leonardo Cabrera.
This would make it a 16-point game, so they're thinking they're going to need the 2 scores and then the 2 two-point conversions. So you don't gain much here with the 2-point conversion attempt. So we'll see if Wright can get back out on the field. In the meantime, he draws Clark Atlanta a little bit closer. Still plenty of time in this one. Clark Atlanta behind the touchdown pass from David Wright. And now the onside kick. And the Panthers end up with it, but there is a flag down. Jamal Jones with the perfectly executed kick by Cabrera.
But it's almost as if the offensive player wanted to take a shot on the Miles player as opposed to going after the football.
Judging by the body language along the Clark Atlanta sideline, this one not going their way, and this becomes a real critical call all of a sudden.
Well, I think what they're saying is he's outside of that 10 yards.
2 fouls on the play, both by the kicking team. Kicking team offside, number 4, that penalty is declined. That kick catch interference, kicking team, the 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the spot of the foul. 1st down, Miles.
I think what Clark Atlanta coaching staff is saying is the ball was past that 10-yard mark. You can't touch the receiving team
So Jamal Jones offsides. That's the first penalty, and that's at the top of the screen. Clearly a yard or two offsides. And then you see
that's
contact right there. Yep.
He called for a fair catch, so you have to allow him. I thought they were saying that they were within that 10 yards.
First down, Miles College from the Clark Atlanta 42.
See Armand Harris going over to calm down his coach.
You gotta love that.
You do.
That is how close this team is, and you know these are players that came with him, so they know him, and you know that is how you build a winning program.
From the Clark Atlanta 42, they will hand the ball off, and look at him go. Inside the 20, lost the ball late, but it goes out of bounds. That was Jamari Riley, the true freshman, into the game for the first time, and he hit the hole hard.
You see the quickness, Riley, he plants, and then he gets north and south quick right there. And you see the speed once he gets to the outside. You got to hold that ball, though. You got to hold it high and tight. Good job by the defender punching it out. Somerset, you see right there, boom, punches the ball out. It goes out of bounds. So for the young fellow, great job running the football, but you got to hold it high and tight.
31 yards on Riley's first touch of the day. Second year with this program. Now first down and 10. They run that trap over the left side, nudging ahead for 5 yards. Goes Edward Osley, so now you're starting to see some of that depth. No Gennaro Scott. We've seen Leatherwood out of the backfield. Roderick Thomas earlier in this quarter, and now it's the combination of Osley and Riley. And all these players have had to step up this year because of the injuries at this position.
And they're all change base backs, so they all do something a little bit different. So it's very difficult to prepare to stop this rushing attack because they have so many different backs.
A little bit of confusion. They get the snap off with a second to go on the play clock, and struggling ahead goes Edward Osley. Osley, one of those players they love to utilize in the passing game. Coming into today's championship, he had scored touchdowns in 3 of the last 4 games out.
And again, if you're Miles, you're not in any rush right now.
This is usually Javonte Leatherwood country, big number 25. He is checked into the game. He will get the call. He will push the pile ahead. Driving. No word yet. Did he get in? Yes! Touchdown for the 200-pound bowling ball. Just kept it going.
I see some Clark Atlanta players getting up saying that they recovered a fumble. I don't see any officials saying anything, so it is indeed a touchdown. And he just powered his way over. He would not give up. He was not going to be denied. He's continuing to push, keep his legs churning, keep pushing, keep churning, keep pushing. He's able to get the ball over.
Third touchdown today for Leatherwood. The point after by Smith sneaks through. Miles goes back up, 23, doubling up their friends from Clark Atlanta.
The Allstate Saturday Kickoff is brought to you by Allstate. You're in good hands. And McDonald's.
Forrest, we were in Atlanta last year. Benedict just rolling Albany State 47-10. Jaden Broughton with that big hit in the end zone as they rolled another 11-0 season from a year ago. But there's a changing of the guard here in 2024, and it looks like Fairfield, Alabama could be the spot for the SIAC Championship hardware. What a showing today. And now on the kick return, the ball gets stripped out, and Miles College ends up with it.
And it just went from bad to worse.
The 6th takeaway today for the Golden Bears. And it's Tipton Dobbs, the redshirt sophomore, who just simply stripped the ball out of the return man's hands.
It almost looks as if he just took the ball away from him. Let's see. Yeah, the ball pops out right there. And Miles has done a good job, not only intercepting the ball, but punching at the football, trying to knock the ball out of the ball carrier's hands. You see right there, he attacks the football with his helmet. That's exactly how you're supposed to tackle. You want to use your helmet to attack that football. A good job by the Miles defender, John Robinson.
So right back to work they go, looking for a change of direction, scooting to the outside, trying to get to the perimeter, but not much there for Osley. It's been that type of day for Clark Atlanta. The enthusiasm they had around this program and that momentum that they generated late in the year. Over 15 buses made the trip from Atlanta, but things have not went the way they were hoping. Roderick Thomas, true freshman, now into the game at running back. Ivory with a second on the play clock, hands it off to Thomas. Stays on his feet, and he finds the end zone. Touchdown one more time for Miles College. Roderick Thomas.
You see Thomas right here, you see the speed and the bounce, the balance, and he's able to get north and south, and once he does, it's easy pickings to get another score on the board. This rushing attack has been multiple throughout the afternoon. And you spoke about it earlier, Sean. They have backed a bevy and a stable of backs that have shown out and shown up, and that is why they're up by 30 points right now.
31 points off turnovers today. Miles College on their way. Miles College out in front of Clark Atlanta, 53-23, 6:51 to go in this fourth quarter. Derek Davis, that last touchdown run, and program that had not won a conference title since 2019, and now here they are, moments away, year 3 for Sam Shade. And I haven't talked enough about what Coach Shade has brought to this program. Assistant coach at Samford, Georgia State, assistant special teams coach in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns for a number of years. Jamal Jones, one man to beat, and he is finally corralled, but not before he takes it all the way out to the 38-yard line. So it's never easy to beat a team twice in the same year, but Miles College is getting the job done. You push the rewind button back to October 19th. Look at the similar numbers here. Clark Atlantic outgained them as far as total yards, but it was Miles College winning the turnover battle. Well, you flip the card to today in this championship game. The Panthers still with the total yardage advantage, but 6 takeaways today for Miles College.
And turnovers have been what has changed this game and what has put Miles in the position that they're in right now. They've been Johnny on the spot. They've done a good job on the back end of that defense. I don't know many teams that can recover from a 5-turnover game.
Taking a shot downfield, double coverage, and right on cue, another takeaway. Intercepted by Cam Williams. And yes, indeed, that might put the opponent to bed right there as you see him. Williams, the interception.
Number 37, Cam Williams. Ball is marked at the 3-yard line.
There is a flag down as well back where the quarterback let her fly.
There's a flag on the play.
To interception, first down, Miles 3-yard line. After the play, on sportsmanlike conduct, Miles number 4 for taunting. Going half the distance to the goal, Miles maintains possession, first down. Number 4 is first on sportsmanlike of the game.
Rock Dowdell with the unsportsmanlike conduct. The turnover chain has been very busy today for Miles, and there's the chain right now with Cam Williams.
And I don't think Coach Shade will have any problem with that penalty at this point. You understand it's nothing malicious. They're just celebrating a championship and competing. So I don't think anything will come from that from the coaching staff.
Going back to Sam Shade, he was recruited by Gene Stallings to be a running back at Alabama, switched to the defensive side of the football, and then we know about the rest. Went on to have a long NFL career with both Cincinnati and Washington. And now taking over this Miles job from Reginald Ruffin, who left his post as both football and athletic director at Miles to take a similar job over at Tuskegee. And what a showing for Shea. What a feeling this must be for him and his staff. And he talked about he had already built the trust with his staff. He knew a lot of these guys from his playing days. It was now bringing that trust to his team, and I'd say he's been able to do that.
Absolutely. When you look at the goal of most college football players is to play at the next level. So when you've got guys that have been at that level and been successful at that level, you want to sit back and listen and learn and digest all of the information that you can.
And let's see if running back was able to get out of the end zone. He was not, and a safety here for Clark Atlanta in this defense. So the third safety of the day. We've seen it all, Forrest.
We've seen balls pop up in the air, get intercepted. In return, we've seen a kickoff get ripped out. We have seen it all today, Sean. Absolutely all.
Teddy Keaton, there's Sam Shade. Miles College jumped out to a 23-0 lead. It looked like Clark Atlanta was going to get back into it in that second quarter, cut it down to 9, and then the late points for Miles to go into the locker room, and then the interception really set the tone. One of 2 interceptions by their safety Jeremiah Hudson-Davis. It's been all Miles College in this second half. High free kick. This one is corralled by Zon Poole, and Poole returns it out past the 40 up to the 42-yard line. Let's take a look around the college football playoff landscape as we count down to the Jamal Jones, who has had himself a day. 7 catches for 163 yards. Gingerly making his way off the field.
And you know, looking ahead for this Atlanta Clark University football team, David Wright, Armand Harris, and Jamal Jones are all juniors. So they'll be back. And they surely will contend for another title. David Wright has an opportunity to be a 3-time Conference Player of the Year. Wouldn't that be special?
Just an incredible feat. And they talked about, these coaches said, is they turned the reins of this offense now to Heath Williams, and Williams is sacked back at the 45. You know, it's interesting. Keaton and his assistant said this offseason their priority will be the offensive line and the defensive line as they try to bring in bigger bodies and really solidify depth on both of those walls.
Well, I think if they can get help on that offensive line, that will allow them to be a better offense because they will be able to run the ball as effectively as they pass the football, which keeps defenses honest.
Second down and 11. Williams rolls right, now throws across the field, and it's caught. Tolliver with the catch.
Number 1, David Wright, the third pass.
Check that, David Wright back into the game, so they are rotating quarterbacks. Now it's Heath Williams back into the game.
First down, Clark Atlanta.
When this offense gets cooking, it is a fun offense to watch. I asked Teddy Keaton, you know, the air raid, where did you have, you know, an interest in trying to bring this offense to where you go, as you see the deep ball downfield and the double coverage, and it's broken up. And Teddy Keaton told us an interesting story back in his younger days. I believe it was 2006. He was at an AFCA seminar, and he was in a Waffle House, and he saw Miles Davis, June Jones sitting at a table enjoying their breakfast. He went over, had a conversation with those two, and wouldn't you know it, they were drawing air raid schemes up on napkins that morning.
I got to stop. You said Miles Davis, Mouse Davis.
That's right. You're right.
I don't want you to get in trouble for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mouse Davis.
You can tell what I was listening to driving into the car. Another interception thrown. This one picked off.
And it's almost at this point for the Clark Atlanta University football team. Make it stop. Make the turnover stop.
Cam Williams with his second interception today.
And you see you've got the young quarterback in the game, Williams. And it's just a bad throw right there. But this defense has just been all over the field all afternoon. They came in and we identified them as a problem on that back end with those 17 interceptions, and they have not disappointed with their ability to be ball hawks in the back end of that defense and create takeaways.
Miles will go to work on the clock here as a steady dose of this ground game and taking it up to the 40 to the 41-yard line. There's Davis. A Miles team that started the year 0-2. They went into that early bye week, and it was regroup time for Shade as he really focused on two fundamentals. They weren't running the football real well through the first 2 weeks, and they couldn't stop the run, so they went into a lot of hard fundamental work with that extra week of preparation, and he actually went back to something that Coach Stallings did in his days at Alabama, and that was Tell the Truth Mondays and the accountability. So they did a ton of film watching on different ways that they can improve, especially trying to be a physical football team, as you see the maneuvering and the yards after contact here from Davis again as he whirls his way into plus territory.
These last two runs by Davis have been dynamic runs. And think about this, if you're Miles, you've got Davis, who is a freshman. So you've got 3 more years of what we see this young man being able to do. I mean, he's got some jump cut ability, some stop and go ability. He's one of the smaller backs, so you can't really get square up on him and get good contact on him.
Already a Gatorade bath along the Miles sideline. The defensive coordinator getting doused, so maybe they have a couple more buckets, one for the OC and one for head coach Sam Shea. Happy bunch of Golden Bears. 23 takeaways coming in, leading Division II, and they have added, yes, that is accurate, 6 interceptions this afternoon. 7 takeaways in all. The special teams coming away with a fumble recovery.
And these takeaways today are more reflective of great reaction by the defense on the back end, as opposed to some of the ones that we saw earlier in the season that were created by pressure from the defensive line. Their back-end defenders have done a good job of undercutting a lot of these routes. They did a good job of playing center field on a lot of these routes. LaShawn Young doing what he does best, playing that center field position, the Defensive Player of the Year for the SIAC. And I think, overall this defense has just, played an outstanding football game.
Back to Davis.
Now
you look at the numbers in this game. Ivory goes 9 of 21 for 160 yards. Scott leading the ground game before he was tossed with the flagrant unsportsmanlike conduct penalty early in the third quarter. But Scott with 85 yards rushing, a couple of touchdowns. Leatherwood has 3 touchdowns today. Then this secondary with the 6 interceptions, 2 of them from Hudson Davis, 2 more from Cam Williams. As we approach the 2-minute timeout, 2nd down and 5. Davis can't spin away from this resistance. And that will take us to our 2-minute timeout. A defense that has wreaked havoc all season long. 6 interceptions today for the secondary. 2 of them from Cam Williams. So who gets the ice bath? You bet. The D coordinator, Chris Schelling. All Miles College from Fairfield. A championship trophy in the house. Miles College. They have won the championship since 2019. Physical brand of football and an opportunistic defense with the takeaways. You factor in this offensive line that I really thought set the tone early in this game, and you add it all up in a resounding win here for Miles. They'll keep the offense out there on 4th down.
And before we get to the end of the broadcast, Sean, I want to tip my hat to the Clark Atlanta University football program. They turned it around, going 0-10 last year, going, 7-2-1 this year, and putting themselves in a position to compete for the conference title. So that should not go overlooked, the turnaround that this program has made.
Clark Atlanta, a team that went 7-2-1 this season. The one tie was a suspended game because of weather with Florida Memorial. Had to win out over the final 2 weeks of the regular season to even earn their ticket to play for a championship.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
And I will say this as well. Their fan base showed up and showed out today.
And Sam Shea got his. We saw the defensive coordinator, Chris Schelling, and you knew they had another cooler waiting for the big guy himself. And congratulations to Sam. I know we both enjoyed talking with him this week. And he talked about the opportunity, and he knew this game would bring out the fans, and it certainly has. A beautiful day with the sunshine and overflow crowd here in Alumni Stadium, and they're going to be partying to the wee hours tonight to celebrate this SIAC championship. It's a 4th down give to Davis. He is cut off at the 31. And one thing as well to mention, I think with this victory in the fashion that they've done it, this is a strong case to push further into the Division II playoffs, which will be on the horizon. You take a look at the championships throughout the years for the Golden Bears. 2011 did it again in 15-18. Most recently in the 2019 season, that was with Reginald Ruffin. Well, they can add 2024, a year that I think it's appropriate with Shade and what he did as a player, both at the collegiate and at the NFL level. He made a living on the defensive side of the football. He was a secondary player, and to have this defense and this secondary play the way they did when the spotlight was the brightest just speaks accolades of what he has been able to do.
And I think looking ahead, they are definitely a lock to make the Division II playoffs. When you win your conference and you win 9 straight football games, you've set a standard and kind of set the tone for who you are as a football team. And defensively, 23 interceptions. I mean, that is phenomenal on the back end.
It has been a year of firsts for this Miles College program. 8-0 in the conference. That's their first undefeated romp through the SIAC in more than 40 years as a Division II program. The 8 straight wins, which will now turn to 9, is the longest in modern program history. They won 8 straight back in 1954. And for the second time this year, Miles College is going to knock off Clark Atlanta. And the Golden Bears, with the final few seconds, the respect between these two head coaches. And you talk to both of them, they're just getting started as far as their future, their visions for these programs. The two coaches come together, and that is it. Miles College, right here in Fairfield, Alabama, your 2024 SIAC champions. Clark Atlanta, one of the biggest turnarounds in college football, winless a year ago, but just not in the cards as this defense, like they have all season, the consistent part of this program, and you count them all up. They had 6 picks off David Wright, the 2-time SIAC Player of the Year.
Coming into this football game, they had 17 picks leading the country, and they did nothing to disapprove that with the 6 picks that they had this afternoon and the way that they took over defensively and dominated this football game against one of the most dynamic offenses in the country.
This is a team that had to battle through some adversity this year. Shea told us of all the years of coaching, this was the year that they had the most injuries. They had to fight through all those injuries, and they had the depth to battle through those injuries, and now it pays off with a conference championship. And he joins us. First off, Coach, congratulations. I got to start with your defense, and this has to bring a smile to your face going back to your playing days. 6 more interceptions by your secondary.
Yes, it was a team effort on defense. Our defensive line really got after the quarterback today. We knew that's what it was going to take if we were going to have some success against him, because you saw early in the game, we gave him a little time. He was able to make some things happen, but we kept getting after him.
Coach, talk a little bit about your offensive line and their performance this afternoon.
Well, we pride ourselves up front on being physical on both sides of the ball, and that's what we've done all season, pretty much since the last time we lost. Since then, up front, we've been winning up front on both sides of the ball. O-line, Christian Twyman, left tackle, Jason Stovall at left guard, our right guard, Philip Jackson. Those 3 seniors, man, they gave us some great leadership.
Coach, talk about the 9 consecutive wins for this program, putting you guys where I think as a lot for the Division II playoffs.
Well, my hat goes off to everybody involved, man. Our strength conditioning staff, our coaching staff, our players. Man, they just work so hard, and then they have fun out here playing. Our guys have fun playing together, and I'm loving it.
So you go back to year 1. You go 1-9. You take over a team that lost so many players. How did you get to this point? What has been the key for this quick turnaround for you?
Well, the first thing after that 1-9 season, our coaching staff did a great job of going out recruiting, and we brought in some really good kids, transfers and high school kids that fit our culture, fit our system. And then after that, just a lot of hard work in the offseason, a lot of hard work, spring ball, summertime, just getting us to this point.
Well, Coach, congratulations on this win. We'll let you go enjoy it. Hopefully we'll see Miles College once those Division II brackets are released later.
Yes, sir, guys. Thank you. Safe travel to you back home.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
You look at the resume that Miles College has put together. They have added a conference championship this afternoon. 9-2 overall. Their only losses this year to West Alabama, Alabama State. You and I both feel it's enough as far as a body of work goes to earn one of those 28 spots for the D2 playoffs.
I definitely do feel it's enough with the body of work. And then when you look at what they did defensively today, the way they dominated on the back end of this defense, 6 interceptions. You came into the game as the leader in the country with interceptions at 17, and you just solidified that with the 6 today. They played dynamic on defense, and I love what they do offensively. They're multiple. They can throw the ball and run the ball very effectively.
Still fairly young as well, just like Clark Atlanta. And we do want to mention the Panthers real quickly for us because this was one heck of a turnaround. Teddy Keaton in his first season coming over from Allen University. He has the brand of Clark Atlanta. He has that massive population metro base of Atlanta. This is a team that's not going anywhere.
And he also has David Wright, Armand Harris, and Jamal Jones returning. You get 5 offensive linemen, or actually they need 5 offensive linemen that are a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit more stout at the point of attack. This offense can do some crazy things moving forward.
Well, this one certainly was a crazy one. We had 3 safeties. We had a combined 8 turnovers. Over 600 yards of offense, but when the dust settles here in Fairfield, it is the home team in front of their large crowd at Alumni Stadium that comes out on top. For Forrest Conley, this is Sean Kinney saying so long from Albert J. Sloan Alumni Stadium in Fairfield. Your final score, Miles College 53, Clark Atlanta 25. All games airing on the ESPN networks and streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation